bad place. I don't got a friend, but I like it better that way. I've been sunning on them, better watch what your dad say. He don't wanna fight.
Hey, what's up? It's to be back again with yet another stream. Today this is actually going to be the last, and I know I haven't really streamed a whole lot over the past week or so because, you know, school's got me busy and stuff, and I know that we are heading into the Thanksgiving break, but I'm actually not going to be streaming a whole lot during the break. You know, I'm actually still not going to be streaming very much. Hey, official Mike, it's nice to see you in the chat. So I'm gonna try to do one mega massive content stream with like tons of reactions, tons of news coverage, and hopefully have some content for you guys to continue watching.
Chat.
You know, throughout the break.
Thanksgiving was a month ago for me.
Yeah, I did hear about that. Happy belated Canadian Thanksgiving. You know, we should have. I should have done something for that on stream. I feel bad for not doing that. Although I'm not really doing anything for Thanksgiving on my stream today, except for streaming, of course. That's like literally it. But that does not count. And let me send this link over to the Discord. By the way, if you are not in the Discord, I would highly recommend popping into the Discord and joining it. The link is in the description below. It's dscrd.ntnwb.cc. It's a place where you want to be if you want to chat with me and stay up to date with everything that's going on with the YouTube channels. We've got multiple YouTube channels. We have the 9newbie streams channel, which is what I'm live on right now. We've also got 9newbie highlights, where I post videos from my streams 3 times a week, actually, at noon on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Let's see. Joe Biden called Trudeau's that was funny, but it was also kind of sad. It was not great. It was not great. Right now, yeah, hold on, let me send the link into the Discord. There you go, hold on. All right, there we go, links in the Discord. So I think we should be good to go ahead and get started with the festivities. Oh, also, one thing that was pretty fun is, I don't know if I should post it anywhere or what, but I actually did hop on to the stream of what is it, the Tomfoolery Show, because I noticed that he was allowing guests on his stream to talk to Willie Mack from the Willie Mack Show, because there were just like a couple points. So I don't know if you guys have been following the whole situation with like the Willie Mack drama with Hassan Piker. Basically, Hassan has just been really bad at doing doing politics coverage on Twitch. And this has been like an ongoing thing. Basically, like since he's started streaming, he's been bad at doing streams. Bad at covering politics, rather. He's been bad at covering politics. And Willie Mack, one time, I think this was like a year ago, decided to go make a massive video just breaking down all of Hassan's flaws. But that was like old. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he then decided to go and make another video because Hassan's just gotten so much wrong over the past year when it comes to political coverage. Like when it comes to talking about the whole situation with like Russia and Ukraine, he was blatantly wrong on some stuff there, you know, swearing up and down that, you know, Russia would never invade Ukraine. And then as soon as Ukraine got invaded, he swore up and down again that Russia would not bomb Kiev. And then they bombed Kiev. You know, stuff like that. You know, he got stuff about the Al-Aqsa Mosque, or no, not the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Al-Aqsa Hospital wrong. He's just been blatantly wrong about a lot of stuff. And Willie Mack did like some videos kind of breaking down his most recent blunders. Then Willie Mack went on Hassan's stream and like to debate him about the whole situation. I think it was funny, in my personal opinion. This is just an opinion, conspiracy theory time. But I actually think that Hassan invited Willie Mack because he figured that Willie Mack, being a content creator, wouldn't go on the stream because he very rarely will take the opportunity to actually do a legitimate debate and be challenged. So Willie Mack kind of called his bluff, hopped onto the stream, and the stream was just a mess. You can go watch the whole thing. Shoot, I forget what my point was. Figure my point is in bringing up the whole the debate or whatever. But basically, after that whole debate, I had a couple questions for Willie Mack. Willie Mack actually happened to be a guest on the Tom Foolery show, which I was watching, and he had Tom Foolery had like this little waiting room where you can just like go and join the Discord and talk to the guest. And so I decided to hop in and ask a couple of questions. So that was fun. That was really, really fun. I enjoyed being on the stream. It's definitely the biggest audience I've ever had. But that's basically what I was doing before I hopped onto the stream. So it was a good time for sure. Yeah, but that appearance, I don't know if I'm gonna clip that up or put that on like the highlights channel or whatever. If you guys want me to, I probably will. I recorded my own copy, which I'm glad I did, because there were a bunch of like overlays and chat messages saying like W new guy and stuff. So if I was gonna upload the video to the highlights channel, I would just want it to be a pretty simple, clean display. Official Mike said, I joined hustle culture. Why is hustle culture so fulfilling? That's a really good question. But I think that, you're someone who, like, money is a massive motivator for you, and it seems to be like one of the biggest things that you're after. Like, it seems like it's more or less the thing you're after the most, right? It's like always on your grind, trying to get as much money as you can, work as many hours as you can at work, just you can get that big bag. So it doesn't shock me that you find hustle culture to be extremely fulfilling. You also seem like someone who's willing to work extremely hard. So I think that's also why the hustle culture doesn't necessarily faze you. So that completely makes sense. Official Mike said, what is God's thoughts on hustle culture? Well, I mean, there are a couple things when it comes to hustle culture. I remember the passages. I remember the quotes. I just need to get the scriptures down. And lose. And then there's also going through. All right, let's see. Bible Gateway to the rescue on this one. We're actually going to be using Bible Gateway later tonight, so stay tuned for that. Let's see. Is this Matthew 16? That's what that quote's from. Okay. And the other passage is I feel like these are probably just like super cliche passages, but these are just the two passages that instantly came to mind when you mentioned hustle culture, because I think that these are two things that will easily. Oh, there's one more. The rich young ruler. How can I forget the rich young ruler? I can't forget the rich young ruler. Merely said, your was good. Yeah. I was just streaming, I love streaming, and I'm back at it. So I know I haven't been streaming as much lately because I've been busy with work. So let's see. Oh, Mark 10, that's the rich young ruler. Okay. Okay, so we need to start with the first predicate. Hold on, let me see. Where is this? All right, we need to start with the first predicate. Okay, so, and I guess I know it's going to look like we're going backwards, but I promise that this is probably the correct order of operations. So you asked, what does God think about hustle culture? Okay, so there are a couple of major things. So let's see here. Well, actually, no. I'll just read this in order. Okay, so we've got a couple passages. The first passage is here in Mark 10, and I'm reading out of the NKJV, by the way. But in Mark 10, starting at verse 17, here's what we have in the NKJV. Now, as he was going out on the road, one came running, knelt before him, and asked him, "Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" Eternal life is a good thing, by the way. So Jesus said to him, why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. You know the commandments. Do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not bear false witness, do not defraud, honor your father and your mother. And he answered and said to him, Teacher, all these things I have kept from my youth. And then Jesus, looking at him, loved him and said to him, one thing you lack. Go your way, sell whatever you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. And come take up the cross and follow me. But he was sad at this word and went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Now, here I think what is being demonstrated is that you can appear to be following all of God's law and all of the scriptures, while in reality, when it comes to what your heart posture is, you're actually not completely following God. And what we see here is this guy was not really following God. He wasn't really following all these laws because he was committing the sin of idolatry, right? He was not worshiping God primarily. He was worshiping money. Now, he was able to somehow, fit that in with not murdering, with not stealing, with not bearing false witness, yada, yada, yada. But, it doesn't matter if you're not willing to take down the things that are the idols in your life. For this guy, the idol of his life is money. Now, moving forward in verse 23. Then Jesus looked around and said to his disciples, how hard it is for those who have riches to enter the kingdom of God. And the disciples were astonished at his words. But Jesus answered again and said to them, children, how hard it is for those who trust in riches to enter the kingdom of God. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Now, it doesn't mean that rich people can't be saved, right? Because if we go down here to verse 26, and they were greatly astonished, saying among themselves, who then can be saved? But Jesus looked at them and said, with men it is impossible, but not with God, for with God all things are possible. And then Peter goes on in verse 28 to boastfully say, then Peter began to say to him, see, we have left all and followed you. So, what that passage is basically saying is, you cannot follow money as like your primary goal and aim in life. And, hold on, let me see. And also inherit the kingdom of God and also make it to heaven, because at that point, you're not worshiping God, you're worshiping money. And, whether that happens in the short term or the long term, that will always lead you astray into committing various sins and away from following God in the way that you should be. Also, there's this nice little thing here where if you're thinking that it's going to be worth it, right? It's going to be worth it to give up eternal life in order to follow money. Well, Jesus here in Matthew 16, looking at verse, what is it? We're going to start in verse 25, I guess. It says, for whoever desires to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. For what profit is it for a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? Let's see here. So, I think you would have to ask yourself this question, right? Is if you were in heaven and someone said, hey man, I've got a little deal for you. Why don't you go to hell and in return I'll give you $1 million? What would your answer be? Your answer would probably be no. So we should look at things with an eternal perspective, right? And I know that it can be hard to always be looking at things with an eternal perspective because it can be very easy to be distracted with all the things that are going on in this life. But it's important to think that there's a lot more to life than what is just on this earth, right? Because this earth, you could live for 80 years. Right? You could live for 80 years and it would still be a blip when it comes to your entire lifespan, because our souls are eternal. And once you die, you will either go to heaven or you will go to hell. So you can live an infinite amount of years in hell, having gotten, $1 million or $10 million or $500 million while living on earth. Would you call that a W? That's the question you would have to ask yourself. Would you call it a W if you made $500 million and then went to hell? That would be your question. So, yeah. The short answer to your question, can Christians participate in hustle culture? Not if money is the primary aim. I understand hustling if you like, you know, you gotta like survive, right? You gotta scrounge to survive. But, you know, if you're living comfortably and you're still like hustling, trying to make as much money as possible just because your idol is money, well, I mean, that's where the problem comes in, I think. Official Mike said, would he see it as idolatry? I rejected a girl via hustle culture. Well, from how you described it, I don't think that was actually a hustle culture thing. It sounded like he was distracted. It sounded like you were too busy with school to spend the appropriate amount of time with her to put in the time to keep the relationship healthy. So she left. That's the impression that I got. It doesn't sound like a hustle culture thing to me. I think you were still in school at the time, if I remember correctly. Official Mike said, I don't see why people hate hustle culture. 2 reasons why people hate hustle culture. 2 reasons why people hate hustle culture. For people who are in hustle culture, for people who are rich, they hate hustle culture because they see people trying to get rich and they realize that money doesn't make you happy. For people who are poor, they hate hustle culture because they hate seeing people doing better than them. Right? They're always trying to tear down whoever is richer than them. So that's, of course, not all poor people. I'm just talking about the critics. You know, if you were to sort them between rich and poor, that's probably the motivations that you'll find among them. So, you know, I think that's at the core of most of the people's complaints. And of course, you know, if you're participating in the whole hustle culture, of course, you're eventually going to get burn yourself out. You're not going to be particularly happy. A lot of negative factors come into play when it comes to that. So I think that's probably where most of those complaints come from. Official Mike said, at least I'm not going crazy yet. I mean, yeah, the operating word is yet. There's always time to go crazy. Just you know, give yourself a few years. Butterd said, how do I do hustle culture? Don't do it, bro. Or join my Discord, and you can ask questions from Official Mike on how to participate in hustle culture. Official Mike said, you work, Butterd. Official Mike said, see, now to be getting into hustle culture. I'm not getting into hustle culture. Hold on, this is getting all squeaky. I think I need a new something else here on the joints of this boom arm. This thing kind of sucks. Well, it's generally not great, but one of these days I'll do a video about this because nobody talks about this when reviewing this product, but they really should. Let's see. Here's what Mike said, see, now newbie getting into hustle culture. No, I don't think you would see me getting into hustle culture, to be honest. It doesn't seem fun to me. Mike said, not a newbie. I'm so evil. I don't take Sundays off. I mean, that doesn't make you evil necessarily. I mean, if you're skipping church to work on Sundays, that's a problem. But I mean, were you going to church to begin with? To be honest, you know. ISM said, Newsby, I quit YouTube. Yes, actually, that's gonna be the first video that we react to. But I do have some questions here in the chat, so I'm just reading those off. Oh, it's always fun to see what you guys have to say in the chat. For somebody Mike said, infinite wealth for me going to hell. That sounds like a deal for me. I mean, doesn't sound like a good deal to me. I would not recommend that, but you can choose what you want. I can't force you. Sorry, I can't make you make a smart decision here. That's all on you. But I'm just saying that I don't think that's a smart choice. To say the job market is a bloodbath is an understatement. It's brutal out there. And that's what I hear. First Mike says, who's worse, a guy who preaches hustle culture or Kenneth Copeland? I think, you know what I actually think is worse? I think Kenneth Copeland is worse. And here's why. It's one thing to teach a message that will send someone to hell, right? It's another thing to preach a message that will send people to hell, but tell them it will send them to heaven. I think that that's worse. If you preach hustle culture and you don't make any promises about the afterlife, right? That's fine, right? You're not selling anything fake here. If you're saying that hustle culture is going to make you happier, you're kind of selling a lie. But going to someone and saying living this way will make you happy versus going up to someone and saying living this way will get you into heaven in the afterlife are two very different claims. Very different claims. And there are different things that you can do to compensate for your sadness once you're sad while in the hustle culture. There's nothing that you can do to compensate for being in hell while you're in hell. At that point, it's GG's. The game's over. So and also another thing too is that people like Kenneth Copeland misrepresent the gospel as well, which is extremely infuriating. Because then people on the outside looking in who aren't even participating in the lifestyle are like, that's what Christianity is like? Psh, man, forget that. I'm out of here. I'm not gonna be a Christian. And then that taints their entire view of God, oftentimes for the rest of their lives, but sometimes it's for decades too. So I mean, yeah, like I have many qualms with people who preach a false gospel. I would rather have someone be a motivational speaker and not say anything about the afterlife than someone who straight up lies about how to get to heaven. If my bias said, didn't Kenneth Copeland say God is the biggest loser in the Bible? I don't know. He's probably said all types of things that were ridiculous and not true. He's a false teacher. I would not take anything that he says seriously in any capacity. Okay, well, I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but no one should really listen to him for spiritual advice. I'll say that. I call Kevin Copeland a psychopastor. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Merely says, how's the new webcam treating you? Poorly. I hate it. Okay. Mini rant time, I suppose. So many of you guys know I'm getting permission to kind of build out a new pseudo studio, mini studio, whatever you want to call it. In another location. So I did get some equipment to use to build some of that stuff out. It's going to be extremely minimal. It's going to end up looking like Ethan Klein's subscriber only Patreon exclusive streams, unless something this polished. But I've been kind of wanting to upgrade this webcam, so I decided that what I would do is I would get some new equipment, but for the webcam, I would actually get a better webcam than this one and bring this one to the other location to use over there. Since, this webcam actually isn't that bad. It actually is way better than most reviewers make it look like. This is the Logitech C920, by the way. So I was looking around, and general consensus seemed to be that the best webcam that was relatively affordable was the Razer Kiyo Pro. And so I was like, okay, this webcam looks cool. It's got HDR, which is the big thing because I've got lights back there. I literally got a Jesus Saves light specifically to have in the background of my streams. And then when I turn it on, it just looks like this great big white blob of light. And I'm like, that stinks. So I wanted to get an HDR webcam to replace this one so that when I'm streaming, you do see the Jesus Saves light in the background. So I got the Razer Kiyo Pro and I'm setting up all the settings. Everything looks okay. But then I start to notice that frames are constantly dropping. It looks like I'm streaming with 20, 22 frames per second rather than the 30 that I should be having. So I go do all this tinkering, and it turns out that this webcam is one that tons of people have had issues with. Everything is staticky. The frames drop, but then they go back to normal sometimes. The colors are off and they're weird. There are just tons of issues with that webcam. And then I look at how it's handling the HDR, and even how the lights were showing up in the background just seemed a little bit off in comparison to how some other folks had them. And I'm like, there is just something wrong with this model that I have. Now, granted, it's not awful. Actually, hold on. Let me go ahead and show you guys that stream. And you can kind of see the difference. I was appalled and taken aback. I wanted to react to stuff. But then I was like, this looks so bad. I can't do this. So like, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, and you're probably not going to be able to see it as well because I have the quality turned down for performance reasons. But like, you can see that it's slightly jittery, while meanwhile this webcam is like buttery smooth. So I'm like, I can't abide by this. I can't do it. So, and actually, I wasn't even planning on announcing this, but I guess I can announce it on stream here. I wasn't going to announce it until I wasn't going to announce it until I went and got the Logitech Brio 4K, because that's why I wanted to. That's why I went and got in replacement of the Razer Kiyo Pro. But when I receive it, if all is well with the Logitech Brio 4K, and it works, you know, better for me than the Razer Kiyo did, I've kept the box, and I did get a PO box, which is somewhat, you know, it's reasonably a distance from where I live, so I'm not doxing myself. What I'm going to do is, if you guys want, or one of you guys wants, I will just give this to one of you guys. I'll literally just like ship it to any of you guys who are in the Discord, or one of you guys who's in the chat. You guys will have to, you know, let me know. I do want to give this to someone who will use it, right? You know, I don't know. I think that either Mr. Pizza or DJLL, I think, are probably the most likely to want to use this. Also, I may ask my IRL friends if they want this as well, before divvying it up to the people in the bread gang if they want it. But I'm going to give this away. I'm going to give this to someone. So if you're in my chat, join the Discord and let me know that you want this, and I will ask around. Depending on how many responses I get, I will let the winner of this thing know. But I do want it to be someone who will actually use it. Also, DJL, if you're watching, you should definitely stream from your computer instead of from your phone, so that you can do cool stuff like have guests on and things. No. I understand everyone has their own style. But yeah, I think for most people who are beginning, who aren't super serious on content creation and stuff, the frame drops are not going to be something major that most people notice. Like, I showed it to a couple of my siblings and they didn't notice the difference, but it's just a big enough difference to me where it's like, you know, if I'm noticing it and I'm bothered by it, there's no use in me like streaming constantly for like months and months and months with this new webcam, because I want something that will last me a while too. Like, this has lasted me a while, so I'm like, you know, it wouldn't be worth it to keep using that thing. So thank goodness I was ahead of my budget, otherwise I wouldn't have such disposable income. All right. Original Mike said, I make fun of Kenneth Copeland and make him out to be incredibly perverted. He might be, for all we know. I mean, we never know, like, what the personal lives of all of these telemarketers, basically the same thing, televangelists. We don't really know, like, what the private lives of those folks are like. YGP says, "Are you there? Goddess Mina Anubi?" What? The ISM said DJL isn't live streaming again because it's always full of offenders against children that chat. What? I thought I saw her doing like all of these streams like just last week. I thought she was doing like tons of streams all the time. No, hold on. She was live today. What do you mean? What? Maybe she changed her mind. Did she change her mind? I mean, she went live. At the end, did she say, "I'm not streaming anymore"? No, she's still streaming. Now, maybe I missed an announcement in her Discord. I'm in way too many Discords, to be honest. I feel bad because I'm in like I pared down the amount of Discords I was in because I was in like a bunch, and I'm still in like 3 times as many Discords as I have the time to keep up with. So, but also I don't want to leave any of the Discords that I'm in, because if I ever want to reach out to somebody or check up on what's going on in different communities, I'm now in just enough Discords to where I can do just that. And also, I'm in like a couple Discords so that I can just like join people's streams if I want to, for like YouTube streamers who have like waiting rooms where you could just hop in. That's always fun. But anyways, so ISM, who is a friend to the stream, a friend to the channel, a Discord friend, I would say, very, very cool person. Actually, I need to have him on the stream more often to talk about politics. He's a very, very friendly, left-leaning individual, which is always great to see, because it's not super often that you find tolerant folks on the left side of the political aisle. So I definitely appreciate that. But unfortunately, he is no longer going to be doing YouTube anymore. He made this video that's called "This Is My Last Video," kind of explaining his decision. And I thought it would be fun to kind of react to this whole situation. It's a shame to see him go. His video's already unlisted. So we'll react to the video and then go through some of the comments.
Hello everyone, it is Colin, and I am here to inform you that this will be the last ever video on the channel. I first want to apologize for the sound quality. I am using the laptop to record, but I more than anything just want to get this message out. Quality doesn't really matter right now. You are likely going to hear me repeat a lot of the things that I said in the "Are we nearing the end of the channel" video. I'm probably just going to repeat a lot of those, add some other details, and where we go from here. So as you may have noticed, I haven't uploaded like at all. It's been months, and for several reasons. And the first reason is I just don't have any desire to make YouTube videos anymore. That is not a priority.
And you know, like, to be honest, that's probably like one of the best reasons to stop streaming, because if you're not enjoying it, then it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth it. But you know, everyone has their own reasons for doing it. I just think it's easier to get burnt out if you don't like what you're doing.
I started the channel when I was a young teenager and just made a few stupid videos. Then around the start of COVID was when I had nothing better to do, so that was when me and Mr. Pizza started making videos, and we had the Roblox series, the Minecraft series. I made a bunch of random videos, and then I found reaction videos, and that was my main thing for a long time, and that was the thing that kind of threw me into the limelight and got me up to, you know, over 1,000 subscribers. But I had always seen that as just like an extra hobby that I needed, and a coping skill that I definitely needed in the hard time during COVID. But you see, now I don't really need that anymore. You know, I'm 20 years old. I am a junior in college. I live alone. I care about my studies. I have friends. I have activities. I have a job. I have all of those things, and YouTube is not in the picture. And honestly, I don't mind that it's not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. If he's doing what's gonna make him the happiest, then that's a W. I mean, it's a shame that, like, you know, he's good at making YouTube videos. He's good at making YouTube content, and he's really good at cultivating a community and a fan base. So it's a shame, kind of, that he's stopping, but in another sense, it's not, because he's doing what's making him the happiest.
I had seen it coming for a while, even before I was at the stage that I am right now. You can even kind of like pinpoint a time, like maybe it was like over the summer or earlier than that, when I had just not been enjoying YouTube as much, and my upload schedule had slowed down a lot. Even with about a year ago, even when I was still doing reaction videos and stuff like that, it still wasn't exactly the same as it was when I first kind of did it, I'd say about 2 years ago, when I started making those types of reaction videos. Never again do I think I'm ever going to truly capture the essence of, you know, being discovered, discovering different content through reactions, discovering a whole community, all that is capable
I mean, you could. I'm sure that you could actually find some other communities. Now, you mean you don't need to actually create content to do that. I don't think. I think you could just join YouTubers' Discords and then see the people in those Discords talk about other YouTubers, then join their Discords. That would be one really easy way to discover new communities, make internet friends if that's what you want to do. The finding new content through reactions thing, I completely understand, because maybe I am just too old or too young. I don't know. Too young to the internet because, well, I'm not going to go into all of that, but, it could just be that I'm oblivious to how internet dynamics used to be, but I don't understand, or at least I couldn't imagine discovering new content specifically through someone requesting that I react to it. Cause I guess maybe I just use so much. I use YouTube so much that I already like have a bunch of reactions or recommendations. So like if I'm going to discover new content, it's probably going to be on the homepage of YouTube or like Twitter or something, not necessarily through like somebody saying, "Hey, I want you to react to this video." Now, I guess it's completely different if you are like a big content creator and you have a big Discord with tons of people sending you content to react to, which maybe that's a point where you were at one point. So I could understand that perspective. But in general, like, I don't know. I think that there are probably easier and simpler ways to discover new content than by making a YouTube channel.
There have been eras of that throughout my time on YouTube, and I don't see another one of those happening or what that could be. And I think whatever is going to have me be creative and to feel fulfilled and my creativeness or whatever is not going to be inside of YouTube. I can tell you that for sure. I know that I can't capture those creative endeavors and getting excited about YouTube. It's just not going to happen again, and I'm not going to force that to happen again because that's just not going to be enjoyable for anyone. And like
actually, honestly, if you force it, then that's what's going to make it not work. It's possible that you do get like another spark and you do get more inspiration to go back to YouTube, but you're not going to be doing it by spending hours and hours trying to figure out, how to be inspired to do YouTube again. Like, that's not what's going to happen, right? You'll probably just randomly get an idea while you're doing something completely unrelated, and you're like, "Oh, this would be so fun to make YouTube videos about," or like, "It'd be so fun to do YouTube videos in this style," and then you'll go and do stuff. And which is like probably the best way to go about it, right? Is to, it's like, oh, that's cool. It's probably like the best way to go about it, to be honest, is to like, let inspiration kind of like carry you throughout your YouTube career. And if that leads you away from YouTube, then that's perfectly fine. And if it leads you back into YouTube, that's also completely fine. I guess the only thing I would say is, if you ever get ideas to make YouTube videos, I would say like act on those while you still have those like creative juices, but don't feel like you have to like bring your channel back or like make your channel become alive again. Because you can just do one-off content here and there if you ever want to, like 2 times a year. Just like, a vacation vlog. I had an idea to do a vlog on vacation or something. I had an idea to do a little skit with my friends. Like, that's all fine to do. So don't feel like you can never post a YouTube video again.
I said earlier in the year with the "Are we nearing the end of the channel" video, I had stated that I have done pretty much everything that I've wanted to on YouTube. I've achieved every milestone that was achievable within my reach. And just to list some of those off, I had made it well past 1,000 subscribers. I made it past 250,000 views. I've sold my own merch.
That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy when you think about it. That's a lot of views.
I have done incredible collabs with like Will Dog and Driver Joe. And I've been recognized by massive YouTubers like Driver Joe. And I've met a fan IRL. And I think most importantly, just recently, I made an IRL connection with a fellow YouTuber, Lennox O, the ladies' man, Lenny O,
Yes.
Alex M.
Let's go.
I know that I've had him on the channel for a while, and I've really created a bond with him among a lot of other YouTubers in the Promised Land, and over the summer we actually were able to meet up IRL and do an IRL vlog. That was the last normal video that I had made on the channel. And you know what? I am happy if that's the last normal video that I had made on the channel. What a way to go out. What a way to end it all, because
that was the W video.
That's the legacy. That's what I had gotten out of it, and I couldn't be happier that was what I've achieved. I think a lot of people go on YouTube and aren't able to do things like that. I'm so proud of the things that I have been able to achieve.
Yeah, like there are things that you've done, and I'm not talking stats wise, because of course I'm making content, so I would love to have more people watch my content, whatever. But the main reason why I stream is just because I enjoy streaming, to be honest. I'd probably still be streaming if no one was watching my content at all. But there are things that you've done that I would just love to do from a content creation perspective, like doing vlogs. Like one thing I really, really, really want to do sometime is do a mall vlog. But I would just need to find a mall that's far away enough from my house. And I would need to find a way to stream it without having any interruptions, because usually inside of malls, there are two options for internet. There's either, of course, you could use your cell phone coverage, but it's inside of a big old building with lots of concrete usually. So you're not going to get good cell coverage, at least good enough to actually continue do a full continuous stream without buffering interruptions. Or I could use mall Wi-Fi. But the problem is, for an area that big, there are just different access points all throughout the building. And so as I move, my phone will have to disconnect from one access point and then connect to another one. And then disconnect from that one as I keep walking, and then move on to the next one. So I would guess that there'd be a lot of stuttering and things. But one of these days I'll figure out how to do some IRL stuff. Probably next, when I'm on a trip somewhere or something, going out of state, I might do a live vlog or something, just super impromptu, and I'll let you guys know in the Discord, when I decide to do that. So I should actually get some of the card. I should do that with Card 3 guys, since the Card 3 guys have been on stream before. They'd be awesome.
I don't need to do anything more at this stage. And I know in my real life I have other things going on for me that I want to pursue instead. I know that I've mentioned music before. I am lucky enough to be playing in one of my friend's bands right now. I play guitar for him. And that's great. It's great practice. Getting out there and really being in the music world. In addition to that, I'm also writing original songs by me, which I don't know when those are going to come out. I think the more I work on those, the more I realize, it could be out 2024, 2025. Maybe I'll update you all on that. But yeah, music is a big thing that you all know that is important to me and something that I want to focus on in the near future, which I think is a lot more significant than YouTube. I'm going to do you all a huge favor, and I'm not going to private or enlist any of the videos on the channel, at least not.
This video is unlisted. No, I'm sure he's talking about his existing videos though.
For right now, if I do in the near future, don't be surprised. I may need to do that, but as of right now, I'm going to leave all of the videos that are currently public as public. But another thing that I am going to disclose that is going to probably be pretty disappointing for a lot of you is that I have a Discord server, but I'm closing that off. It was hacked earlier in the year, and
No! I didn't know that he was closing that. Now, to be fair, yo, that Discord is that was goated. Is it gone now? No, it's still there. I see it. But that Discord was goated. But the problem is I think when I started joining your guys' Discord, you had 3 Discords that were all super active. It was yours, DJ LL's, and I think Lennox O's maybe? Or there was a Promised Land one? Maybe I'm getting some of them confused. But there were multiple Discords that you guys had that were all popping. And I was I can't keep track of all of this stuff. But it was so cool that all that stuff was popping so much. But hey, if anybody wants to talk to ISM, they can join my Discord. I'll be happy to have y'all.
Can't risk that again. Same goes with my Instagram. Also, my Instagram is very private. I've started to post a lot more about my private life on Instagram, and definitely far, far away from YouTube stuff. So I am going to continue to keep that private.
Did you have the same Instagram account for both your YouTube content and your personal stuff? That does not seem like a good idea to me.
If you are either in the Discord or have my Instagram, consider yourself lucky, because you're like the last people that have that. But I don't have any suspicions of you if you already have that, because that was in the past. But
nice.
Yeah, for future, that's not going to be a way to see what I'm doing. I may or may not still, I guess, exist on YouTube in the sense that I may still do collabs on the Will Dog channel every once in a while.
Ooh, I forgot about Will
and
Dog.
pop into Not a Newbie stream, because he streams sometime, and I talk to him, play games, stuff like that. It's fun.
That'd be awesome. We need to do another Fortnite OG stream. Not tonight, but maybe sometime next week. I don't know. But we need to do another Fortnite OG Fortnite stream.
Don't see anything on the main channel. I know I also have 2 other channels. I have kind of the second channel, which was for shorts, and also just other videos I wanted to archive. And then I have the YTP/meme channel, which I don't think I'm going to upload to either of those. The last thing that I want to talk about is something that I have not really talked about on the channel. I may have revealed it here and there, but I'm a Christian. I definitely believe in God.
Let's go!
Something that's happened over the last few months is that I've definitely grown a lot more in my faith, and
Let's
I'm very
go!
on fire for Jesus right now.
Let's go!
So a message that I would...
Hold on. W. This is... I love to see this with content creators, like, being outspoken and being like, I'm a Christian and I love God. Now, even if it's something extremely as small as Kai Cenat praying for 30 seconds, like in a chat prayer speed run, or something as big as, Young Don and Gideon, turning to Christ and then turning all of their streams into just reading the Bible streams. I absolutely love seeing people turning to Christ publicly and then making content about that, or at least being open, honest, and upfront about that change. I absolutely love seeing that. Now, it's not like ISM is just saying that he's just become converted here, but here he's just mentioning his Christian faith, and that is awesome. I always love to see people promoting their faith, in their content.
And I'm very on fire for Jesus right now. So a message that I would want to share with anyone who's watching this video is that, the decision to follow God is one of the best decisions that you can make. God is real, He loves you, and He wants the best for you.
Let's go!
And no, I did not just make this video so that I can preach to you all. That's just a message that I want to get out there. Like, you don't have to be like this hardcore Christian or anything, but anyone...
What does that mean? You have to be a hardcore Christian. I don't know what that means as specifically. I think I understand what he means. Not sure if I love all the connotations of that, but like, if the message is like, you can be chill, like you can be a Christian and you don't have to like be like super harsh with everyone or try to convert every single person that you see, like, I kind of do understand that. Although I do also kind of want to shy away from like, oh, you can run after Christ, but you don't have to run that hard after Christ. Like, I think that's also problematic. I don't know if that's what he was saying, though, so I'm not going to impute that on his message.
Out there, like, you don't have to be like this hardcore Christian or anything, but for anyone who has not heard his word before, that was just a message that I want to leave for all of you. So for outside of YouTube, I will continue to be creative, to be musical, to continue to grow my faith, and to grow my real relationships that matter. Thank you all for 4 years of ISM, for more than 1,400 subscribers, for more than 25,000 views, a legacy, memories, and some relationships that, I may have for the rest of my life. Who knows? So for the very last time, my name is Colin. This has been ISM. Goodbye.
That's awesome. Dude. That is epic. And it's so cool that like the last message that he shares is like the gospel, and it like that's awesome. That is epic. That's the best way to go out. That's the best way to go out as a content creator, in my opinion. Let's read some of these comments. Jeff Day Poppy says, it's been great getting to watch you discover Poppy. My interest in the channel may have been one-sided, lol. And I'm glad to hear you're in a band. That's cool. I wish you success. Thank you for posting this video for closure. That's cool. Travis Williams 3333 says, I'm sorry to see you go. However, I know it's what's best for you. Have fun. Thanks for everything. Yeah, it's really cool that, and I will say, like, it's a big difference seeing you quit YouTube versus seeing Mr. Pizza quit YouTube, because it's very obvious that Mr. Pizza, he has a lot of potential still, but he's like, man, the only thing motivating me was like the stats, and I got the stat I was looking for, so I'm like, that's pretty much all. It's like, you have so much potential. There was so much more stuff you can do, but at the end of the day, if you don't want to do content on YouTube, don't do content on YouTube. But it's just like the fact that ISM has found more fulfilling things in life just seems like a far better reason for him to quit YouTube than being like, I got 1,000 subscribers. So that's why if you look at my reaction to this versus my reaction to Mr. Pizza's reaction, I'm like a lot more happy here, because it's just like, hey, ISM has a lot of things going on in his IRL life that he is taking care of, and that he's excited about. So he just doesn't have time for YouTube anymore. And he's just not as motivated either, because he's a lot more interested in the things that are going on in his actual personal life. Like, that is good news. That's like a great life update to hear. Magnus MFX in the comments says, stay safe out there. Okay. Bob Air 2, the sequel to the famous Bob Air, retroactively known as Bob Air 1, says, it is time to move on, and I get it, so it must be. Take care and check out some more Poppy concerts when you can, and get on with your life in the best way possible. Peace out. That's very fair. Kaiser Bob 1377 says, so long ISM. It was fun while it lasted. And Seymour ISP says, ISM. Oh man. That was cool. This is a good way to go out. There's no better way to go out than this. Is, to find some really great find some great meaning in some things you're doing in the real world. Get super invested and interested in personal growth, whether that be professionally, moving into new creative ventures, or just growing stronger in your faith. And, just like, dropping a message about the gospel and telling people to like become Christians. Like, there's no better way to end a YouTube content creator career than this. So absolutely massive W's all around for ISM on this one. I guess I'm not going to see too much of what's going on in your life, but I am very much looking forward to whatever God has in store next for your life. That's what's up. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna get some Coke. Hold on. Also, what's up with this? Okay, so I have a tablet, a Samsung Galaxy Tab, and I'm basically using it as a kind of like an Echo Show almost. I don't really use it that much, but sometimes I have like a little stand, and I like to put it up there and display like TV and stuff. So I had Fox News on, and then the screen just went like this. And I'm sure that if I turn on the volume. Oh, hold on. did the stream just stop working? Looks like the stream just stopped working. But sometimes when I'm like watching videos, like YouTube videos especially, this will just happen. It's a Galaxy Tab S5e. If any of you guys know what causes this issue, I would love to hear what causes it. Now, usually you can fix it by like, you know, having it reload the video assets. So for example, like this is like about 15 minutes behind what's actually going on. So hold on. Let me go. Actually, I don't even know what's happening here. Y'all probably don't care about this. So this is just something I have found puzzling. So if any of you guys know what's behind it or why this happens, you know, fill me in, let me know. Oh, actually, hold on. I've got to turn on my light. Okay. Whew. Also, my webcam should be higher. Should be higher up. I don't know why the webcam was so low. Because I specifically, I was supposed to set it up so that like if you're standing here, you can see my head, and it's still cutting it off. But I'm not gonna quibble too much on this. ISM said the curse of Fox News. I mean, Fox News certainly isn't the best like mainstream cable news channel. You know, that crown I think undisputably goes to News Nation. Like that channel is amazing. But the reason why I actually have it there is because like of all the cable news channels, that's actually the only one that I can't access for free through like the radio, because I prefer the radio for like that type of thing, for like news and politics and opinion and stuff like that. But like Fox News is the only channel that doesn't have a live audio. Well, the only one out of like the major cable news channels in America that doesn't have a sort of like live audio option. You can listen to CNN online for free. You can listen to CNN International online for free. You can listen to MSNBC online for free. You can listen to News Nation online for free. So, you know, I think that, you know, I might as well just have Fox News on a screen, since that's like the only way I can access it. If I think something's going on, I can actually tune into something else, you know, like News Nation or whatever. So that's actually the point. Like, to look at the Chiron, if breaking news is happening, I go look at somebody else for the news coverage other than Fox News. All right. Also, I guess, are we doing drink of the day? Here we've got Coca-Cola Zero. Same taste, 0 calories. And that is innovation that excites. Let's see, what's this? ISM says, I remember you saying you've wanted to do a mall vlog before. Yeah, it seems like so much fun. So much fun. I remember watching like XQC's mall vlogs. Like those look like fun to do. Even if I don't buy anything, it's like I can just go into a place that sells expensive things and just like laugh at how stupid everything looks like. I don't know. ISM said original song by me will be released in 2024. Nice. I remember you sent me some updates about your music stuff. That's awesome. ISM said, oh no, it's still there. We're just closing off invitations. We use it every day. Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's good. ISM said it was originally YouTube, Instagram, but evolved into a more personal one. Ooh, interesting. It's never wise, I think, to blur the lines between those two. Jot said, MB, I was watching Whole Alone. Whole Alone? That doesn't sound family friendly. That doesn't sound... Jot said it's broken. Oh, you're talking about a tablet. ISM said it's the curse of Fox News. Ooh. Jot said I got headphones. I can finally hear you. Nice. Just it's Coca-Cola. Yeah. Yeah, I was sorry for trolling you into getting RC Cola. I mean, I know it's not bad, but I trolled you a little bit on that one. It's cool that your dad likes it and you like it too, though. Yeah, that's awesome. So it's not as good as the original TBH. I mean, it's not as good as the original, but it's as good as the original as you can get without being as good as the original. So, not awful. All right. Some of you guys wanted me to take a look at this video by Charlie, the leader of the Penguin, or the guy who runs the Penguin Zero YouTube channel, where he talks about the whole SS Sniper Wolf situation. Now, I don't remember a whole lot of what's been going on with the situation, so I guess you'll fill me in. I don't know that anything new happened. This is a month old. Maybe I do know some of this stuff, but let's go through this and see. Make sure that I don't miss anything. Actually, hold on. Wait a second. Y'all linked me this old video. There's this new one. I'm gonna watch this one. Is your tummy grumbling? Man, why y'all send me an old video to watch? Don't when there's an update. I want to see the update.
Is your tummy grumbling? Your stomach empty?
My stomach is empty enough, which is why I got this, because all of the bubbles of carbonation will just fill my belly up temporarily until I need to either fart or burp. But thanks for asking.
I don't know if you've eaten yet, but I'm going to feed you regardless, so open wide because here comes the airplane. Surprise, we're feasting on a delicate cuisine of more Sniper Wolf drama.
What?
A nutritious part of every complete...
That was, I gotta say, that's actually probably one of the worst Penguin Zero intros I've ever heard. I mean, I would have done like, oh, like, have you eaten McDonald's today? Well, if you're already full, I'm sorry, because I have more slop for you. Like,
complete meal.
I'm not gonna rag on him too much. I can't rag on him too much because he got like 3.1 million views on this video. So
4 weeks since the doxing of Jack's films, and since then I've made like 2 follow-ups because it's just been this snowball that's turned into an avalanche of dog shit that continues to develop. She's a Darman star, so to put it in Darman terminology so we're all on the same page,
She's
this
a Darman
is what
star?
happens in the dark coming to light. Before getting into the newest situation revolving around her, I'll just go ahead and give you a little follow-up to the previously on Dragon Ball Z developments. So it's been 3 weeks since the last time I talked about it. That was when she made an apology, which she misspells Jack's film's name in multiple times, which showcases a clear lack of giving a fuck about it. And then also, it was when YouTube weighed in saying that they're going to temporarily suspend her monetization. They didn't specify...
Did they ever lift that, by the way? In my opinion... I mean, I think she got off a little bit harsh, a little bit easy on that one. I think that she should have been banned. Now, I'm not a cancel culture guy, but I do think that, you know, if you break the rules, especially a rule so egregious as like doxing someone on the platform, like for on-platform behavior, by the way, like that should be grounds to get your account banned. Like if you have a rule about that sort of thing. So I do think that she got let off easy, especially when you consider the fact that like she, you know, put Jack's film's life at risk, like his safety. She put his safety at risk, which I think is not even nearly comparable to, you know, not being able to make money for a few months, especially when you're probably as rich as SS Sniper Wolf probably is. SS Sniper Wolf. Why does that sound like a Nazi dog whistle? But no, but in all seriousness, I think that, you know, having your well-being, health, and safety indefinitely endangered is, you know, far worse than not being able to make money for a few months. So I don't think that the punishment was really even here. Not saying that someone should like take SSS Sniper Wolf's you know, well-being into their own hands and, you know, make things more dangerous for her or dox her in return. Like, no, that should definitely not happen. But I think that YouTube should do something a little bit more harsh than what seems to be a mere slap on the wrist.
The length of time, but I'll just go ahead and tell you it's been 3 weeks now, and she is still demonetized from everything I can see. Going in on incognito mode, turning off ad block, going in on mobile, there are no ads playing on her main channel videos. So it seems that they still are slapping her down there in the old piggy bank. And if I'm being honest, like a fork in an electrical outlet, I am shocked. I cannot believe that she's still demonetized. I thought for sure it would only last a week, maybe 2 weeks as things start to blow over.
I don't know. I think this type of thing, if you're going to punish somebody, even if it seems like a slap on the wrist, I would think even a slap on the wrist would be like at least a couple weeks. A couple of months. Like 2, 3, 4 months maybe.
And they just secretly flip that switch back on and monetize it. They haven't. It has been 3 weeks, and she is still not monetized. Now, this does kind of lead into a subject people were talking about quite a bit a few weeks back, where Sniper Wolf found a way to circumvent this by uploading old content onto another one of her channels, which at the time was monetized. It was this channel.
Yo!
And from my
Yo, that is so... That's so... I mean, I can understand it if you, like, literally can't make money anymore. I can understand that. But like, I'm sure YouTube did not take kindly to this, because this is almost like ban evasion or something. Like, you can't just evade the punishment for you breaking the rules like this.
understanding, it is no longer monetized. I also went on incognito mode, fucking full raw, no rubber, no ad block, anything at all, went on the channel, and there's still no ads. So it seems like that did get demonetized, if it ever was monetized in the first place. And this led to a whole new can of worms being opened about whether or not Sniper Wolf is ban evading, which violates another one of YouTube's policies. She got demonetized on her main channel, and in order to keep making money off content, she posted it on another one. And of course, it is very interesting that the last upload there was 3 weeks, even though it was consistent up until that point, meaning probably when it got demonetized, she stopped doing it. So
yep. It's funny because there was a part of me that thought that she would keep on making content even though she was demonetized, but now I'm realizing this is all just a cash grab to make easy, cheap money by saying, oh, so funny, right? To just like really viral TikTok videos.
Finally, I'll weigh in on that quickly. I don't think that's ban evading by the actual terms of service with YouTube. Is it scummy? Absolutely. But she didn't get away with it. They did act quickly in demonetizing it, at least from what I can tell. So I don't think she's going to be like punished for that in any big way. They're just going to continue to keep her demonetized, which again is a mind-boggling thing. I thought that was all just going to be a bunch of lip service, a bunch of hoo-ha nonsense from YouTube. Like, oh yeah, no, we're taking real action.
Well, I mean, the thing is, they got a bunch of backlash on Twitter, I thought, for them like demonetizing SS Sniper Wolf, and they were like, oh, it's a slap on the wrist. So I think them, you know, having her banned indefinitely for monetizing her videos is kind of a course correction where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, why don't we just keep her demonetized for a long time? Maybe that'll make people stop complaining.
We're very serious about this. No more ads for 12 hours. But no, I mean, it has been a decent chunk of time. I mean, like, relatively speaking, I don't remember how long Logan Paul was demonetized for after the Forest incident, but like, it has been a lot longer than I thought they would do. And I really feel like it's not because they wanted to. They probably did fully plan on this being a very short punishment, like a very tiny slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
But Sniper Wolf finds drama more often than bees find flowers to pollinate.
But the thing is, she should be rich, and she should have money bankrolled. Like, she should have like money. She should have like enough money to just like fill in like a thought streamer's like inflatable pool with $100 bills, by the way. Like, she should have enough content available or enough money available to live off of for a while. She seemed to be making good money off of her YouTube channels. So, like, I'm now, of course, a lot of people who even rich people live paycheck to paycheck and spend probably more money than they should. Actually, I spend more money than I should, even though thankfully I am not living paycheck to paycheck. But like, she should have like $1 million or so that she can just sit on and live off of for a little bit at least. Now maybe she's trying to get drama, getting into drama in order to find a new way to make money or get attention. But like,
just like a fart in a car, she can't escape it. Like, she keeps falling into more and more controversy. So that brings us to the most recent thing that's happening right now, where she is being accused of basically stealing her whole format. So Nerd City made a video covering this and even interviewing the person that Sniper Wolf has been accused of copying from. Her name is...
I saw that in my YouTube recommended, but it's like...
As you doing the...
It's like 30, 40 minutes long. I didn't have time to watch it.
Person that Sniper Wolf has been accused of copying from. Her name is Aziland. I do think it's worth mentioning.
Jot said your camera froze. When did my camera freeze? My camera is fine now.
Mentioning that Aziland seems to want to just highlight Sniper Wolf's hypocrisy and history of being a hypocrite, less so accusing her of stealing her original works or anything. She's more so trying to focus on like how hypocritical it is that she would take some of the stances she does, even noticing all of what she's done, which gets brought up in the video, as well as a lot of other things that have surfaced from it. And this kind of blew up into a pretty big story because also prior to this, she was accused of faking her gameplay back when she was making gameplay videos, and that was a whole other huge pile of drama.
Dude, so did she hire someone to play a video game so that she could record it and then do her own videos, or was she stealing YouTube video content of like gameplay footage to then use in her own YouTube content?
That I never even bothered to talk about because it was
sorry, to then use in her own YouTube content.
Whole other huge pile of drama that I never even bothered to talk about because it was so many moving parts to it. I swear to God, to cover all the controversy she's been in would be a video longer than Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it'd be like a really complicated thing to even dive into the meat and potatoes of. You'd end up writing an entire book that's more difficult to decipher than the Silmarillion from Tolkien. Like, it is a lot. It's a ton. So I'm just going to focus on like the most recent ones here, but there is a whole history of it when it comes to like fake videos and videos that she's tried to bury in the past, which leads more people to believe Aziland here that Sniper Wolf might have also just stolen from her too, because this wouldn't be the first time potentially. But anyway, let's get into it just a bit. Interestingly enough, and I hope you're sitting down because if you're standing up, it's going to knock you over. She's already responded to these claims, which is like 10 times faster than she responded to the Jax Films doxing situation, which just gives you...
Well, I mean, doxing a man is a lot worse, I think, than faking some YouTube videos or copying somebody's style. I think that doxing someone and putting their life at in legitimate danger is, orders of magnitude worse than biting somebody's style.
A little peek into her psyche and how twisted she views things and what her priorities are, where compromising an entire family's safety, nothing, shouldn't even really warrant an apology whatsoever.
Well, it's like the stakes are way higher because it's such a big offense. You have to make sure that your response is good. So if the drama is, you stole somebody's YouTube gameplay footage, like, okay, you can just like slap some response together, like, over like the course of like 15 minutes and then, issue the response, right? Versus like you put somebody's life at risk where they're potentially going to get swatted and killed. Like, it's an entirely different discussion.
Whatsoever. Big old nothing burger with a side of French fries. Call the wambulance, you little baby. What are you crying about, huh? Get over it. She even went on to make jokes about it, like on her Instagram story. Her sister came out and said, like, does he not know how to fight? Like, so clearly she didn't take that seriously at all. But this, being accused of copying TikTok reacts, oh, it's go time. Now she's on the front lines ready for war in the trenches. So she posted...
I mean, okay, it's fair because like, it does make it seem like she cares more. She cares more about, the internet drama than like putting someone's life at risk. But I think it's all just caution, right? You don't want to get yourself in legal jeopardy. Excuse me. Going half cocked and saying something potentially ill-advised or self-incriminating when it comes to literally doxing somebody else.
A response to it. She quote tweeted this Descrption article that says Sniper Wolf has been accused by fellow YouTuber Aziland of copying her content, stealing her presenting style, inciting harassment from fans, and lying with fake evidence to cover her tracks. just kind of going over the bare bones of what the accusations are, where they compare thumbnails, they compare the content itself, and even like some of the things they talk about during the reacts. And Sniper Wolf then says, I have a backup of videos and screenshots before she changed the thumbnails to make it look like I copied her. I have proof she copied my thumbnails, SEO, the way I speak, the jokes I make. The way you're trying to manipulate this is fraud. And you will be hearing from her lawyers, I'm sure.
Also, I'm sure that she's happy to have like an opportunity to change the subject away from literally putting someone's life at risk versus, just having the drama, versus like talking about copying someone's like thumbnails.
What an incredible case that would be. Oh, that would be a real page turner to read that. To me, that sounds like a lawsuit that has all the makings of an iconic classic, like the Billy Mitchell lawsuit against Cartoon Network because an episode of the regular show made him look stupid. So I'm curious to see if she actually does try and go like a legal route here in this situation. She then continues saying, the fact that you can just go on a video and lie about everything is insane to me. And then she shows some side-by-side comparisons of their videos and thumbnails and titles to showcase the similarities and accuse her of actually being the nefarious villain that's copied Sniper Wolf. She drops some more evidence from the case files here, saying I have a screenshot of you uploading the same video as me minutes after I upload multiple on occasions. And then the example she gives is Sniper Wolf uploaded 22 minutes ago, Creative People on another level, and Azzyland uploaded 12 minutes ago, so 10 minutes after that.
I love the community note. The community note says, this doesn't prove anything. The video cited for evidence only have a similar title, though it contain the same thumbnail or clips. Also, I think it's entirely possible that SS Sniper Wolf just went and copied Azzyland's title after Azzyland uploaded her video. Like, that's also possible. So this doesn't necessarily prove that she didn't do that either.
With Creative People who are on another level. A community note then came out of nowhere with a big steamin' revelation that said, this doesn't prove anything. The videos cited for evidence only have a similar title and don't contain the same thumbnail or clips, 1 and 2. Both Azzyland and Sniper Wolf have created videos with almost the same title before, showcasing that the slam dunk she thinks it is. It doesn't even use the same clips, only the title is the same. And there's other examples of similar titles being shared between them. At the end of the day, it's TikTok Reacts. It's like the simplest thing ever. There's probably like 10 other YouTubers that have this exact same format and style that may have even preceded them. It's something that tons and tons of YouTubers will just shit out. But I'm not here to really dive into the quality of the content. It's more so the claim and all of the evidence presented for it. And based on everything in the Nerd City video, as well as a couple of other things that have been revealed, it really does seem like Sniper Wolf directly tried to copy from Azzyland in quite a few aspects, even outside of just like thumbnails and all of that. And at the very least drew huge inspiration from it, if I'm going to be extremely charitable and generous.
I mean, I would need to see, I haven't really seen Charlie be wrong about much, but I would want to see the original video, like the Azzyland video, before speaking as to whether or not SS Sniper Wolf just bit Azzyland's style. But it also seems like SS Sniper Wolf's content is pretty bad, so how bad must Azzyland's videos how bad must they have been? They probably were better, right? She probably is just doing like the dollar store version of Azzyland, or at least she was doing the dollar store version of Azzyland's content at the time. Oh, hey, Blue Ball Animations, nice, nice to see you. You really should change the name of your YouTube channel, man.
There are a ton of similarities. An outrageous amount for it to just be a coincidence, in my opinion. But I guess I can't say for certain who stole from who here, because again, the content is something that so many others on the platform are constantly pumping out. But again, the evidence that is available does seem to indicate Azzyland was the victim of Sniper Wolf stealing from her content, and then Sniper Wolf kind of started a lot of bad blood between them because of it. Like, it seems like there were cases of her instigating fights and like trying to weaponize her fans to like say, you know, Azzyland's a doppelganger that's stealing from me, this and that, copying my homework and whatever. Yeah, that's just kind of the whole situation boiled down into its bare bones here, the bare necessities. And some people are wondering if YouTube's going to step in again and punish her further. I highly doubt it. But like,
there's no need. You're going to ban someone for stirring the pot on internet drama? That's what YouTubers do. That's what content creators do. Not all of them, because I don't really do that. But like, that's not a bannable offense to get into internet beef with someone else on Twitter.
Mentioned earlier,
or to copy somebody else's style. Like,
I think this is a contributing factor for why she's staying demonetized, because she keeps getting into situations like this, and YouTube knows if they flip on the monetization now, there's going to be a ton of eyes on it, and it's going to cause them problems as well.
No. There's no reason to ban somebody else for copying somebody else's style or copying YouTube titles. Is that against the TOS? Where is that the TOS said, thou shalt not copy somebody else's YouTube titles? Like,
so they keep just, you know, gripping on tight and waiting for things to blow over before they turn her monetization back on. That's my little game theory. But again, to address that question, I really don't think YouTube's going to do anything here. I don't really even know if there is like a violation of a policy
there's no
YouTube
violation.
has if you're taking like content ideas from others and doing it yourself. Like, maybe it could fall under spam content potentially, which is something YouTube does take stances against occasionally. But even then, I highly doubt they would use that against Sniper Wolf. So
yeah,
I don't think there's going to be anything that comes from this on YouTube's side, but it's once again another huge hit to Sniper Wolf's already tarnished reputation, and the drama just keeps unfolding around her. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update here on everything going on with that, and that's about it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good video, to be honest. You know, I haven't really been following this super closely because I'm like, as a Sniper Wolf just seems like an awful content creator. Why would I even follow her that closely? Like, it's mostly her just like being really bad at reacting to it's basically her being really bad at reacting to TikTok videos, which doesn't seem like that interesting of drama, right? It's not like she's, you know, reacting to the news and being awful when it comes to her like analysis, using all these logical fallacies and things, which is what's going on with like the ongoing Hasanami drama. It's nothing like that at all. It's just like, oh, this person's really lazy when it comes to reacting to TikTok videos that like go viral on the internet. It's like, okay. Like, that just doesn't seem like a big deal to me. Personally. All right. So there was some rather interesting TikTok drama that wasn't exactly what you think it might be. This actually involves Osama bin Laden. Yes, Osama bin Laden got himself into some TikTok drama. So here's the headline. The Guardian deletes Osama bin Laden's letter to America because it went viral on TikTok. Yes, it went viral on TikTok. Kind of on the heels of people cheering for and supporting Hamas. We now have TikTokers supporting Osama bin Laden now, apparently. The Guardian has removed a letter written by Osama bin Laden explaining his war against the United States as partly because of its support of Israel after it had gone viral on TikTok. Wait, so were people saying, like, this dude must be based because he's anti-Israel? like this is like 0 degrees removed from being like, let's go become groypers and watch Nick Fuentes on like America First because he hates Israel. Like, oh man. This page previously displayed a document containing, in translation, the full text of Osama bin Laden's letter to the American people, as reported in The Observer on Sunday, 24 November 2002. A note on the Guardian site where the letter previously appeared now reads, the document, which was published here on the same day, was removed 15 November 2023. The transcript published on our website 20 years ago has been widely shared today on social media without its original context. A spokesman for The Guardian told 404 Media. Therefore, we have decided to take it down and direct readers to the news article that originally contextualized it instead. The letter was originally published alongside another article that explained the letter was originally posted in Arabic on a Saudi Arabian website previously used by Al Qaeda to disseminate messages, and was sent to hundreds of subscribers to an email list run by Mohammed Al-Masari, a UK-based Saudi Arabian dissident. It added the UK and American government's response to it. That's crazy because look. I've talked about this before, right? With the Pine Leaf video, where it's like, if there's bad content on the internet, right? The appropriate response is to explain why it's bad. You have to leave it up so that people can then break it down and explain what's so bad about the content. Because otherwise, like what we were talking about, like little kids who are becoming incels, getting into phrenology, right? Because they didn't even know, probably because they didn't even know what it was. Like, you have to think beyond just like, oh, it's awful that these people are reading it. It's not awful that these people are reading it. It's awful that these people are reading it and having the wrong takeaway. So the question then is, why are we raising people who are browsing TikTok and or using TikTok? Why are we using the TikTok generation to look at things like the letter to America and be like, you know what? Osama bin Laden might have had some points when he was planning his 9/11 attack. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's terrible. This is a failure on parenting, I think, rather than a failure on The Guardian for not taking down, a string of text. Because taking down the string of text does not change the people who ended up viewing the letter to America. It doesn't. Nothing changes. Let's see. It is not unusual for news sites to delete articles or primary source documents unless there is a major error in them or a direct and urgent threat to life through their publication. Searching for Letter to America on TikTok brings up a few dozen results, and some of the videos have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views. In many of these videos, TikTok users are expressing shock that they don't entirely disagree with some of what bin Laden's letter said. Namely, that he is at war with the United States because the United States attacked the Muslim world first, and that Jewish people have no claim to Israel, and that Israel has occupied Palestine for decades, quote, overflowing with oppression, tyranny, crimes, killing, expulsion, destruction, and devastation, end quote. Now, I will say I'm doing a massive deep dive in the history of Israel versus the Palestinians, and I am probably months away from having a conclusion on those claims. Just a little disclaimer, because I do want to make sure that I've sourced all my claims, I completely understand everything, completely understand the historical context, everything like that. Also, the evidence or lack thereof of certain claims of atrocities on both sides. I think it's just important to get a good basis of all of that before I speak authoritatively in regards to Israel's conduct in their establishment as well as their conflicts with the Palestinians. Searching for Letter to America on TikTok also shows that other users searched for terms like Letter to America read out loud, Letter to America Osama summary, and Letter to America anti-Semitic. An accompanying hashtag Letter to America, is also being used on the platform. Many of the TikToks about hashtag Letter to America are not particularly viral by TikTok standards. The top liked TikTok about the letter, and one that shared a moral panic on Twitter, was posted by username Lynette Atkins. It has 75,000 likes on the platform, where truly viral videos and concepts are regularly viewed tens or hundreds of millions of times. Many of the videos are also simply explaining what the letter is, commenting on the fact that people are talking about the letter on TikTok, or explaining 9/11 attacks more broadly to an audience of people who were born after 9/11. That's also entirely fair. Yeah, I did watch Ludwig's Mogul Mail video about it, which actually is really good. If you haven't seen it yet, where he kind of explains that this video, the video mostly went viral through libs of TikTok, not on the TikTok that it was actually posted on. So more people saw, oh, they're talking about this on TikTok than actually people on TikTok. Videos that use hashtag Letter to America have a total combined view count of 1.3 million views, according to TikTok's hashtag search function. Frederick Joseph, author of 2 New York Times bestsellers about racism and social justice, posted a video about the removal on TikTok. Quote, "This is really a good example of narrative control and censorship," he said. "It started going viral not because people were necessarily agreeing with Osama bin Laden's actions or his moral clarity, but rather because the letter offered perspective into the hypocrisy of America, the hypocrisy of settler colonial nations." Oh man, what a Marxist. So on and so forth. In discussing the atrocities people in the Middle East have faced. The Guardian decided to take it down. People on TikTok are talking about the letter, reading it, having this discourse about the issues with, places like the United States. Joseph added, "They're afraid of people having information, so they decided to take it down." Wait. So is his main point here that the Guardian is afraid that people are going to learn about American imperialism? Yo, that is a hilarious take. But actually not entirely surprising considering this dude is probably a Marxist. Dieter said, "Hi, I'm new. I saw your stream. Now I'm going to watch the stream." Hey, hi Dieter. Welcome to the stream. I invite you to join the Discord as well. Because when it comes to me reacting to things on my streams, that's heavily influenced by what you guys send for me in the react request. So if you have something you want me to react to, join the Discord and send a little request. Some Israelis and Jewish people, as well as prominent politicians and Silicon Valley venture capitalists, are saying that TikTok is promoting anti-Semitism. Senator Josh Hawley said that TikTok specifically is a, quote, hotspot for anti-Semitic pro-Hamas propaganda. There is no evidence to support the claim that TikTok is exceptional in this regard. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, because there is pro-Hamas propaganda there. There is anti-Semitic content there. There's anti-Semitic content and pro-Hamas propaganda on this very platform that I'm streaming to live right now, YouTube. So, it's not exceptional in that regard. Fair, right? Let's see. Like every social media platform, TikTok hosts a lot of bigoted and anti-Semitic content, in that many TikTok users are horrified by Israel's relentless bombing of the densely populated Gaza Strip, which has so far killed more than 11,000 people, 4,500 of which were children, according to the health officials in Gaza. In fact, according to Semaphore, I don't know who Semaphore is, hashtag Israel is trending on the platform despite the fact TikTok users have created twice the number of videos that are tagged hashtag Palestine. Well, to be fair, support for Palestine is grossly overrepresented on the internet than in real life, so I am not entirely mad about that, to be honest. But I think that it would be interesting to, rather than go on and on about the evils of censorship, because censorship is pretty bad, why don't we actually read this letter? Now, The Guardian did remove the Guardian did remove Osama bin Laden's letter to America, but Newsweek re-uploaded it. So let's go ahead and read through this letter by Osama bin Laden, and of course, right? Just because he may say some things that may be true or may not be true doesn't justify anything that he did when it comes to like the violence and whatnot. So as you're watching this video, don't get that twisted, don't get that conflated. And no one who was watching any reactions to this letter should be thinking that's what's going on, that people are just like, whoever's reacting to it must be praising the letter or must be on board with what Osama bin Laden did or must be okay with 9/11. Like, no. All right. Oh, Dieter in the Discord said, "I don't have Discord. Sorry, I don't feel safe on Discord since the creeps." That's entirely fine. It's entirely valid. Josh says, "Imagine being scared of creeps. There's like none, dog. There are no creeps in my Discord. I try to be vigilant with who I allow. Well, I am trying to grow my Discord, but I keep an eye on the people who are in my Discord, and if anyone seems like they're a creep, I kick them out. So completely fair. Also, I have a rule where if you're under the age of like 16, you're not allowed to be in the Discord just because according to the rules, you're not allowed to be on Discord if you're under 16. Also, I think that probably should lessen the appeal of creeps for the Discord server. So, but that's entirely fair. Don't shame them for that. Like, there are creeps on Discord. There are tons of creeps on Discord. Okay, so here is the letter. Again, to be clear, I don't endorse this. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, permission to fight. And this is a quote from the Quran, I guess. Permission to fight against disbelievers is given to those believers who are fought against because they've been wronged, and surely Allah is able to give them believers victory. That's Quran 22:39. Now, I don't. Oh, Jot says 13. I could be wrong. I have to check the Discord TOS later. Now, I could be wrong, and this could be out of context, but I think it's passages like these that people use to excuse like violent jihad. So when people are like, oh, Islam is a religion of peace, there's nothing in the Quran that would possibly justify this type of violence. Well, there's certainly enough to quote in sections such as these for motives such as this. For those who believe, fight in the cause of Allah, and those who disbelieve, fight in the cause of Taghut, anything worshipped other than Allah, e.g. Satan. Oh, okay, so if as a Christian, I would say like pagan, I guess is what that means. So you fight against the friends of Satan. Ever feeble is indeed the plot of Satan. That's Quran 476. Some American writers have published articles under the title, "On what basis are we fighting?" These articles have generated a number of responses, some of which have adhered to the truth and were based on Islamic law, and others which have not. Here, we wanted to outline the truth as an explanation and warning, hoping for Allah's reward, seeking success and support from Him. While seeking Allah's help, we form our reply based on two questions directed at the Americans. Q, why are we fighting and opposing you? Question one, why are we fighting and opposing you? Question two, what are we calling you to? And what do we want from you? Oh, and that's it. As for the first question, why we are fighting and opposing you? The answer is very simple. One, because you attacked us and continue to attack us. Now, I do need to understand some of the historical context of this, but it is my understanding that this is actually correct. Now, Hassan Piker was absolutely wrong when he said America deserved 9/11. But I think that what he was getting at was that our interventions within the Middle East instigated some people to commit the terrorist attack. As I understand it, that is true, and I think that that's what Osama bin Laden is getting at here. Now, of course, this by no means justifies any of the terrorist attacks at all, but I think it should be a lesson for people who are trying to be interventionists, who are trying to be imperialists, where it's like you create your own enemies when you go and invade in other countries and try to intervene in domestic disputes where you really have no business being there, where you really don't belong. Let's see. So there's a point here. It's A. You attacked us in Palestine, which is sunk under military occupation for more than 80 years. Like, I can't speak to this because I haven't researched it. The British handed over. Well, actually, I do know the footnotes of some of these things, so I can speak to some of it. The British handed over Palestine with your help and your support to the Jews. As I understand, that's true. Who've occupied it for more than 50 years. Years overflowing with oppression, tyranny, crimes, killing, expulsion, destruction, and devastation. That much I'm not sure of. The creation and continuation of Israel is one of the greatest crimes, and you are the leaders of its criminals. And of course, there is no need to explain and prove the degree of American support for Israel. The creation of Israel is a crime which must be erased. He would be one of the people to also say, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, and then just get rid of all of the Jews in Israel as well as Israel itself as a state, right? I'm guessing. Each and every person whose hands have been polluted in the contribution towards this crime must pay its price and pay for it heavily. It brings us two, I guess. I don't know. This is weird. It brings us both laughter and tears to see that you have not yet tired of repeating your fabricated lies that the Jews have historical right to Palestine, as was promised to them in the Torah. Anyone who disputes with them on this alleged fact is accused of anti-Semitism. Now, I will say that is that's rather humorous to me. Like, I am not one who believes in historical rights to Palestine versus some like mystical spiritual ties to the land, right? Unless God comes down and says like, yo, homies, you're supposed to have this land, which has happened in the Bible before, by the way. I don't think that you can say this person has any inherent rights to the land outside of buying it, purchasing it, or winning it in a war or conflict. I've talked about this in the previous video, my first video about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which you can go watch as well. There is one important correction to that video, by the way, that I put in my Discord. Basically, I got it wrong. Hamas is not the ruling party of all of Palestine, just the Gaza Strip. So I got that wrong. But go watch that video if you haven't yet, on my perspective on what gives someone the right to land, for example. This is one of the most fallacious, widely circulated fabrications in history. The people of Palestine are pure Arabs and original Semites. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't really care. That's a semantics game right there. Sorry. I got stun locked. What I wanted to say was, where he says anyone who disputes with them on this alleged fact is accused of anti-Semitism. It is entirely stupid to accuse people of anti-Semitism just for saying that the Jews don't have a right to the land in Palestine or the right to the land in the Palestinian region. Like, there's nothing anti-Semitic about that. It's just a disagreement about what gives someone the right to the land, or a disagreement on various facts in history, right, which are widely disputed, right, based on how dug in the people on both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict are. Like, it's incredibly silly to say, oh, if you're anti-Zionist, you're anti-Semitic. Like, bruh, come on. Let's see here. It is the Muslims who are the inheritors of Moses, peace be upon him, and the inheritors of the real Torah that has not been changed. This is a religious difference, by the way, a religious dispute. Jews and Christians would say that the lineage of God, like God's chosen lineage, goes through what is it? So to understand this historically, what's the name of Moses' illegitimate son? Hold on, let me look this up. Moses' illegitimate son. Moses' son. Maybe I'm not searching the right keywords. Shoot, I forget. But no. Hold on. I want to pull this up because I know it's like on the tip of the tongue of my brain. Let's see here, son. Sorry. Man, I wish I had this knowledge on hand. Wait, Moses went into was it Hagar? Is Hagar the mother? No, sorry, never mind. Okay, I got the facts wrong. My bad. Let's continue. But actually, this is touched on later on, but I don't have the facts straight. Let's see. Muslims believe in all the prophets, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon them all. So while yes, Muslims do believe in all this stuff, they don't agree on everything that Christians and Jews believe. For example, they think that like Jesus is just a prophet, just a good guy, a dope dude, but not the Messiah. Jews actually believe it on that, agree with that, by the way. But neither Christians nor Jews agree that Muhammad is any legitimate prophet. That's where Muslims and the Jews and the Christians all diverge. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon them all. If the followers of Moses had been promised a right to Palestine in the Torah, the Muslims are the most worthy nation of this. So here he's basically saying that for religious reasons, the Palestinians must have the land, not the Jews. When the Muslims conquered Palestine and drove out the Romans, Palestine and Jerusalem returned to Islam, the religion of all the prophets, peace be upon them. Therefore, the call to a historical right to Palestine cannot be raised against the Islamic Ummah that believes in all the prophets of Allah, peace and blessings be upon them, and we make no distinction between them. I completely, hey, if you're religious, it does make sense to use your religious text as the basis for rights to things like this. Like I basically said as much when I said, like, if God, says, this land is for you, then that land is for them and that belongs to them. That's a religious perspective. He's coming here with a religious perspective as well, although it's a different religion than mine, right? It's Islam. I'm a Christian. So, there is that. But I don't understand reading this and saying like, oh, like especially if you're just like some like atheistic leftist, reading this passage of him saying like Allah gave this land to the Muslims. Like, I couldn't imagine being an atheistic leftist reading that and being like, oh yeah, that makes sense, that Allah gave this land to the Muslims. Like, I couldn't imagine that. So I wonder what this praise must have been for this letter to America. The blood pouring out of Palestine must be equally revenged. Ooh, now that's bad. So here he's saying that we need to just like kill tons and tons of Jews and Americans because tons and tons and tons of Jews and Americans have killed tons of Palestinians. You must know that the Palestinians do not cry alone. Their women are not widowed alone. Their sons are not orphaned alone. You attacked us in Somalia. You supported the Russian atrocities against us in Chechnya. Weren't the Russians anti-Semitic? That's something that came up in my research. Although I don't know how long that anti-Semitism lasted. I think it was in like the early 1900s or late 1800s where some like false document was made or whatever. I'll make a video about it when I am ready to share all my research. The Indian oppression against us in Kashmir, the Jewish aggression against us in Lebanon. So it seems like he's saying that the Americans, the Russians, the Indians, and the Jews all attacked the Palestinians, with for no good reason. And I don't know that that's true. Under your supervision, consent, and orders, the governments of our countries, which act as your agents, attack us on a regular basis. Well, I mean, he's part of a militant terrorist group. So like, yeah, surprise. Like, these governments prevent our people from establishing the Islamic Sharia. Oh, well, good. I'm not gonna be mad about that. Using violence and lies to do so. Well, I mean, Sharia is violent and Islam is a lie. So like, where's the moral high ground there? Like, bruh, like, isn't Sharia like the basis for like the Islamic practice in certain Sharia nations in the Middle East of like throwing gays off of buildings? No wonder the West would oppose that. Like, don't act shocked. These governments give us a taste of humiliation and place us in a large prison of fear and subdual. These governments steal Uma's, I don't know who Uma is, like Uma Thurman. These governments steal our Uma's wealth and sell them to you at a paltry price. These governments have surrendered to the Jews and handed them most of Palestine, acknowledging the existence of their state over the dismembered limbs of our own people. To a degree, I actually do understand this as far as I do agree. To a degree, I agree with this as far as I understand it. It's kind of what happened. The removal of these governments is an obligation upon us and a necessary step to free the Ummah, to make the Sharia law, the supreme law, and regain Palestine. And our fight against these governments is not separate from our fight against you. You steal our wealth and oil at paltry prices because of your international influence and military threats. Now I am ready to assume that this part is true because that's what America likes to do. This theft is indeed the biggest theft ever witnessed by mankind in the history of the world. Your forces occupy our countries. You spread your military bases throughout them. You corrupt our lands. You besiege our sanctities to protect the security of the Jews and to ensure the continuity of your pillage of our treasures. I agree with this to a degree, which is why my political position is highly anti-interventionist. We should not be putting military bases on half of the countries in the entire world. Like, that's bad. That's awful. And usually ends up causing trouble. We end up getting into fights we don't need to be in, creating enemies that we don't need to create. You have starved the Muslims of Iraq, where children die every day. It is a wonder that more than 1.5 million Iraqi children have died as a result of your sanctions, and you did not show concern. I wonder if that's true. When 3,000 of your people died, the entire world rises. It has not yet sat down. You have supported the Jews in their idea that Jerusalem is their eternal capital and agreed to move your embassy there. With your help and under your protection, the Israelis are planning to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Well, they didn't do that. I think that mosque is still around, isn't it? Under the protection of your weapons, Sharon entered the Al-Aqsa Mosque to pollute it as a preparation to capture and destroy it. I don't know if that's true. These tragedies and calamities are only a few examples of your oppression and aggression against us. It is commanded by our religion and intellect that the oppressed have a right to return the aggression. Do not wait anything from us but jihad, resistance, and revenge. Is it in any way rational to expect that after America has attacked us for more than half a century that we will then leave her to live in security and peace? Well, I don't know what question he's asking. Is he saying would it make sense that we would just like give up and walk away and live somewhere else after being attacked for so much? I would say yes, that is rational, right? I mean, we see this now with the war between Israel and Hamas, where many Gazans are like, bro, we want to leave, but we can't. So like, it completely makes sense that people would want to leave to avoid oppression if oppression is indeed what's happening here. I'm not going to give it to Osama bin Laden that that's exactly what's happening. But assuming that is, it would make sense that someone would want to leave and not get attacked, right? Or oppressed in any way. Like there's that I think makes the most sense versus the revenge. Now maybe the revenge would come later, but like in any case, the revenge is not justified. You may then dispute that all the above does not justify aggressions against civilians for crimes they did not commit and offenses in which they did not partake. I mean, yes, that's true. It does not justify aggression against civilians. I don't think that it justifies aggression at all. Depending on, I would say that it doesn't justify aggression because I don't know if that's entirely true. And still, the goal really should be defensive, not offensive, right? If America's attacking your people, build up defenses. Don't try to attack America. Excuse me. Like, I think that is, well, yeah, it depends. It depends. Because I do think that Israel should attack Hamas. Well, hold on. Yeah, I can see why you would want to attack America if you do think that America has attacked you. But I don't know that that's what we did, like, to the same extent. Yeah, no. And even if you were going to say that it would justify, say, attacking American military bases, for example, right? I mean, which, you know, your grievances are with the American government. So it would make more sense to attack the military government than to attack the civilians. Civilians did nothing, right? Let's say I was just maxing out and maxing and relaxing, all cool in the Twin Towers, and then, you know, Osama bin Laden's henchman just like blows me up by ramming some planes into it. Like, I didn't do anything to necessarily support what it was that was even done in the Middle East. So it's interesting that he's addressing this question, but I don't think there's any answer that you could give that would necessarily justify attacking civilians for things that they did not do. So here's his answer to this question. This argument contradicts your continuous repetition that America is a land of freedom and its leaders in this world. Therefore, the American people are the ones who choose their government by way of their own free will, a choice which stems from their agreement to its policies. Thus, the American people have chosen, consented to, and affirmed their support for the Israeli oppression of the Palestinians, the occupation and usurpation of their land, and its continuous killing, torture, punishment, and expulsion of the Palestinians. The American people have the ability and choice to refuse the policies of their government and even to change it if they want. While true, I think that Americans, writ large, have done an awful job at being educated. Myself, right, included, by the way, myself included, Americans in general are notoriously bad at being aware of what America is doing with its foreign policy. Particularly when it comes to the Middle East and stuff in Israel. Most information that we get is pretty biased, I would say. So assuming that what Osama bin Laden is saying is true, which I don't think it is, that we just like run around killing Palestinians basically and are trying to wipe them out and push them all out of the land, which is what it sounds like he's insinuating. You know, Americans probably don't even know that this is entirely what's happening. Now, maybe he doesn't know that, right? He doesn't live in America, or at least, well, he doesn't live in America right now. I'm quite sure of that. But I don't think he lived in America at the time either. Let's see here. Also, another thing to point out is that he clearly doesn't understand how elections work, because usually the person who wins the popular vote actually loses the election. You have to win the electoral college votes. It's usually very slim. So it's like 50% of people maybe, or 55% of people vote for the person who's in office. And that's why America is often very divided, because 45% of the nation doesn't support the president, doesn't support the American policy. So to say, oh, Americans can just change the policy of the government if they want. Well, you can't. It's a very slim majority that wants the government's policies to be in the way that it is. So it's very faulty to just pin that on the entirety of the American people, and America itself is very split on this. The American people are the ones who pay the taxes, which fund the planes that bomb us in Afghanistan, the tanks that strike and destroy our homes in Palestine, the armies which occupy our lands in the Arabian Gulf, the fleets which ensure the blockade of Iraq. These tax dollars are given to Israel for to continue to attack us and penetrate our lands. For the American people are the ones who fund the attacks against us, and they are the ones who oversee the expenditure of these monies in the way they wish through their elected candidates. Now, again, I also pointed out, I did make sure to point out that barely the majority of Americans support the current, direction of the country. So there's that. And this happens, across decades, across centuries, right? So it's not just a case of in today, like November 21st, 2023, Americans are split on the foreign policy of the nation. Like, it's not just now, it's always been like this. At least as I understand it. That said, he's talking about taxes, right? Our taxes fund the planes that bomb, the lands and all that stuff. Well, we are forced to pay taxes by law. He's acting like the Americans are joyously throwing our money into a murder fund. That's not what we're doing. I think the majority of Americans actually would not pay taxes if they wished, and not out of selfishness for wanting to keep the money for ourselves, but because we don't support the things that the government does. To this day, our taxes are still going towards the scourge of abortion. My tax dollars are paying for trans surgeries that are being done on members of the military and probably inmates in prisons as well that I do not support. Is that my fault? Is it my fault that I'm not breaking the law because the government is funding things that I don't want to fund? Well, you want me to? It's a tall task to tell people, oh yeah, just break the law. Like, no. Every single American has to pay taxes unless you're homeless, unless you don't have a job, right? So, and like you have no income. So, like I would say that is an invalid argument because this is something that is compulsory. It's not optimal. It's not something that people are doing willingly. Like we have tons of Americans who commit tax evasion. Are you going to call them heroes, right? For not funding America's foreign policy? Also, the American army is part of the American people. It is these very same people who are shamelessly helping the Jews fight us. I mean, some Americans, yeah, but it's not like America, or sorry, it's not like Israel, where every single person is forced to be in the military when they hit a certain age. It's a very, very small fraction of a fraction. Well, maybe not a fraction of a fraction, but it's a very small fraction of American citizens who are actually part of the military at any given moment. So to say the American army is part of the American people, like, not necessarily. There are plenty of Americans who hate the American military. You would love the modern left. They hate the American military. So I don't think that you should hold all Americans responsible for what the American army does just because the American army has Americans in it. Like, wow, shocker. This doesn't mean that we all love the military or anything like that. The American people are the ones who employed their men and their women in the American forces which attack us. That's just not true. That's just false. That's the government, not the private sector. That's entirely different. This is why the American people cannot be not innocent. What? This is why the American people cannot be not innocent. Huh? That's a double negative. And I don't think that's even what he's trying to say. Sorry. Of all the crimes committed by the Americans and Jews against us. Let's see here. It says, Allah the Mighty legislated the permission and the option to take revenge. Excuse me. I will say among Muslims, this does seem to be disputed, but it's not entirely without sourcing in the Quran and other Islamic texts, as I understand it. Thus, if we are attacked, then we have the right to fight back. Whoever has destroyed our villages and towns, then we have a right to destroy their villages and towns. Now, I can think this is a major difference in how I look at retaliation and how retaliation should be done versus how this guy is looking at retaliation and how retaliation is done. He looks at it as like, oh, a nation attacks us, then we must wipe out and conquer the entire nation, right? He would say like death to America because like America has bad foreign policy that got some children killed somewhere, right? Like he's probably the type of person who would say that. where if you want to retaliate, the only thing justified is the thing that goes after specifically the people or the group that did whatever it was that did whatever it was that you find to be grossly objectionable, leading to the deaths of tons of people. And of course, you should always go for non-violent means if possible, right? So like, first you should be going to like the UN, for example. You shouldn't be just going to your AK-47. And then even if you do that, you have to go over specifically like go to specifically like the military, right? Weaken the military's capacity to carry out attacks against you. I think defensive measures are always best. And again, this is all just like kind of saying theoretically if you're in a situation where you must retaliate. Again, I am not supporting anything that Osama bin Laden did. I'm just trying to poke holes in his logic, right? Where you're saying that, oh, it's fine for just kill Americans. Like, no, it's not fine for you to just kill Americans. Let's see here. Whoever has stolen or wealth, then we have a right to destroy their economy. Like, no, he's talking about completely disproportionate responses. Like, no, completely disagree. And whoever has killed our civilians, we have a right to kill theirs. The American government and press still refuses to answer the question, why do they attack us in New York and Washington? If Sharon is a man of peace in the eyes of Bush, then we are also men of peace. I don't know who Sharon is, to be honest. America does not understand the language of manners and principles, so we are addressing it in the language it understands. As for the second question that we want to answer, what are we calling you to and what do we want from you? The first thing we are calling you to is Islam. Okay, well, that's a nope. It's going to be a nope from me. Let's see here. The religion of the unification of God, of freedom, and associating partners with him, and rejection of this, of complete love of him, the exalted, to complete submission to his laws, and of the discarding of all the opinions, orders, theories, and religions which contradict with the religion he sent down to his prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Islam is the religion of all the prophets, makes no distinction between them, peace be upon them all. It is this religion that we call you to, the seal of all the religious or the previous religions. It is the religion of unification, of God, sincerity, the best of manners, righteousness, mercy, honor, purity, and piety. It is the religion of showing kindness to others, establishing justice between them, granting them their rights, and defending the oppressed and the persecuted. It is the religion of enjoining the good, forbidding the evil, with the hand, tongue, and heart. It is the religion of jihad in the way of Allah, so that Allah's word and religion reign supreme. It is the religion of unity and agreement on the obedience to Allah in total equality between all people without regarding their color, sex, or language. It was the religion whose book, the Quran, will remain preserved and unchanged after the other divine books and messages have been changed. The Quran is a miracle until the day of judgment. Allah has challenged anyone to bring a book like the Quran or even 10 verses like it. Yeah, no, I mean, the Bible is not like the Quran. It's better because it doesn't have any like historical inaccuracies or contradictions. So, boom, take that, Muhammad. The second thing we call you to is to stop your oppression, lies, immorality, and debauchery that has spread among you. We call you to be a people of manners, principles, honor, and purity, to reject the immoral acts of fornication, homosexuality, intoxicants, gambling, and trading with interest. Now, one thing I've learned by watching Destiny streams is that Muslims actually believe that trading with interest is actually, I think this is accurate, right? That trading with interest is a sin according to the religion of Islam. Now, I will say this, right? As a Christian, right, I would also say that, to be fair, I don't think there's anything specifically in the scriptures that intoxicants in and of themselves, taking them is sinful, right? Yeah, I mean, Jesus literally turned water to wine and then drank some of it. So like, you know, I don't know if the Bible says anything specifically about gambling being bad. Although I think it, to a degree, goes against certain principles that you find in the scriptures, particularly the Old Testament. But, you know, fornication, homosexuality, those are sins, right? In the scriptures as well. So I would call the Americans, or literally everyone, to stop participating in those acts. But here's the big thing. This does not mean that there should be part of the structure of the United States government. What this guy is calling for is he's calling for an Islamic theocracy, right? I'm not a theocrat, though. So while he is I don't know which, like jihadist or he's a fan of Sharia law, right? Which is basically like the Islamic version of Christian nationalism. I'm not a Christian nationalist. So I'm not going to go around saying like, oh, we should put the 10 Commandments into the legal code. Like, no. There are certain aspects of, you know, the 10 Commandments that inform our legal code, I think, to a degree, right? Like, you shouldn't be able to murder people, for example. But that doesn't mean that everything that's a sin should be against the law in America. So I greatly disagree with Osama bin Laden here. Greatly disagree. The fact that I'm disagreeing with Osama bin Laden so much on what he's saying should not be a surprise, because I am a conservative. I am against, you know, big government, and I'm a Christian. So almost everything here is saying that he wants a theocracy. He wants an Islamic theocracy. He's like an Islamic nationalist, basically. He supports violence, where I think violence should be avoided as much as possible. If it's done, it should be done defensively, not offensively. He is an authoritarian, right? He wants to determine whether or not people are gambling in their own homes. All these things. He probably would support throwing gay people off of roofs for having sex with each other. Like, all types of things that I am diametrically opposed to from a political perspective. I fundamentally disagree with this man. I am beginning to think. We call you to all of this, that you may be freed from that which you have become caught up in. You may be free from the deceptive lies that you are a great nation, and your leaders spread amongst you to conceal you from you the despicable state to which you have reached. It is saddening to tell you that you are the worst civilization witnessed by the history of mankind. This is by far not true. Absolutely not true. Hey, I can find common ground with the leftists on this one. Britain. It's far worse than the United States of America. Far worse. You are the nation who, rather than ruling by the Sharia of Allah in its constitution and laws, choose to invent your own laws as you will and desire. Based. Not entirely. We shouldn't have exactly no moral code, but we certainly shouldn't use Sharia law as the basis of our moral code. Let's see. Yeah, you separate religion from your policies. Absolutely based. Oh man, this guy's really mad that we're not Muslim nationalists. Contradicting the pure nature which affirms absolute authority to the Lord and your Creator. You flee from the embarrassing question posed to you. How is it possible for Allah the Almighty to create his nation, grant them power over all the creatures, and grant them all the amenities of life, and then deny them that which they are most in need of, knowledge of the laws which govern their lives? You are the nation that permits usury, which has been forbidden by all the religions. Usury. Forget what usury is exactly. I don't know if usury is banned in Christianity. Oh, okay. So Wikipedia says it's loans with an unfairly high interest rate. Okay. Yeah, I would say Christianity is against that then. Yeah. You build your economy and investments on usury. As a result of this, in all its different forms and guises, the Jews have taken over your economy, through which they have taken control of your media and now control all aspects of your life, making you their servants and achieving their aims at your expense, precisely what Benjamin Franklin warned you against. I don't know if Benjamin Franklin warned America about the Jews. I don't think that's true. But here's a point for me to push back on anti-Semitism in a very important way, because I think there's something that the anti-Semites, they lose in the midst of the sauce. And actually, this is something where my study on the origins of like Israel versus Palestine is actually relevant, because there's actually one of my notes here about where is it? Okay. By the way, if you're a and I invite you to fact check this. By the way, I've designed this document. So this is like a preliminary document that I've been working on for researching the disputes between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And I came across this bit here, and this is designed to be fact checked. So this is literally just like these are my bullet points, prove me wrong, bro, thing that I've basically been developing. Now look here. This is the basis, by the way, of the majority of the anti-Semitic claims, right? That there's some sort of Jewish cabal together. This has just been proven false. In 1903, a false document called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion was published in Russia, stating that there was a Jewish plot to take over the world. It was one of the main bases for that theory in the 20th century. Now, hold on, let me see here. Now, if we go further. Okay, in 1921, Philip Graves exposed the Protocols of the Elders of Zion as a false document that plagiarized an 1848 satire of Napoleon III called The Dialogue in Hell between Machiavelli and Montesquieu in the Times. So, most anti-Semitic claims are literally based on a satirical play that is an entire work of fiction. Right? Unless there's some other origins of anti-Semitism, some other texts that are used as like the the nexus point or the origin of, the plot of the Semites or whatever. But that is generally the basis of the ideology of anti-Semitism that still goes on through, to this day, and it's debunked. It's fake. It's false. Now, if you go into those sources, you will actually see that the very government the Russian government who was trying to propagate this theory, they were pushing out all types of propaganda. And then after like a handful of years, they looked at this propaganda that they had and they were like, hold on, wait a second. I don't know if this is even true. And they hired a committee to investigate the document, and they found out that it was a forgery, it was fake, and they were forced to admit it, like I think at some sort of like committee. So, the theory of anti-Semitism, if you're believing in that, you are falling for what's basically a bastardization of a satirical play. So you're being a bit gullible there. But there's also no evidence, and here's another thing too, is it is true, right, that Jews own like the banks. It is true that the vast majority of people in the mainstream media are Jews. It is true that a whole lot of people in corporate America are Jews. That's all true. But does that mean that Jews are working together to control the world, that they have some secret agenda? No, it doesn't. Just because you have a bunch of Jewish people who own a bunch of things doesn't mean they're all working together. As a matter of fact, they're all competing with each other, right? Because, it's capitalism. So, like, this is why it irks me whenever people say that, oh, Jews run the media. Like, they do, but they're not working together. There's no nefarious plot. they're not conspiring with each other like to like take people down, or like they're not like behind these like crazy things. Like if people criticize George Soros and say that that's anti-Semitic, no, you just don't like what he does. But George Soros doing bad things is not the same as saying there's this big massive Jewish plot to like take over the world or something. Like, what do you think we live in a comic book? Like, no, that's not what's happening here, right? So don't fall for these foolish notions that are most at home in a comic book versus like the marketplace of ideas. okay. If you take away anything from my streams beyond follow Christ, it should also be that Jews are not conspiring in some sort of great cabal to take over the world. Okay. So like people will look at the demographics of the various like aspects of the American private sector and be like, oh, look at how much the Jews control. And I think that's where a lot of modern anti-Semites kind of get their conspiracy theories, like, oh man, they must be working together. They're not. And I think that's Osama bin Laden's pointing to that sort of reductionist analysis of the demographics of various industries, such as the media, such as the economy, things like that. You are a nation that permits the production, trading, and usage of intoxicants. You also permit drugs and only forbid the trade of them, even though your nation is the largest consumer of them. Ooh. That one stings. But he's right, and this is why Republicans want to shore up the border to keep the drugs out. You are a nation that permits acts of immorality, and you consider them to be pillars of your personal freedom. And by the way, when he's saying this, he's talking about things like homosexuality, gambling, that sort of thing. You have continued to sink down this abyss from level to level until incest has spread amongst you. What? Man, homie watched one movie about Alabama and thinks that's the entire nation. Like, come on. This is not true. Hold on. That until incest has spread amongst you in the face of what... That's literally not true. What? That has to be one of the most ridiculous claims in this entire document. And there are a lot of them. And that's just not true. It's just not true. In the face of which neither your sense of honor nor your laws object. Our sense of honor certainly objects to it. Like, Americans make, like, it does happen occasionally, but whenever it does, people make fun of them. In America, it is heavily shamed to do this sort of thing. Who can forget your President Clinton's immoral acts committed in the Oval Office? None of us did, believe me. After that, you did not even bring him to account, other than that he made a mistake, after which everything passed with no punishment. What are you talking about? Bill Clinton got impeached. I think that he was forced to, did he resign? I can't remember if Bill Clinton resigned or not. Maybe that was Nixon. Hold on. Didn't he? Pretty sure Bill Clinton got impeached. Yeah, no, hold on. Yeah, he was impeached by the House of Representatives. Okay, but he was acquitted on both charges in the impeachment trial in the Senate. Okay. Interesting. But I mean, yeah, it wasn't like we did. It's not like we didn't do anything against him. Is there a worse kind of event for which your name will go down in history and remembered by nations? I mean, probably. You are a nation that permits gambling in all its forms. The funny thing about this is, at the time that he wrote this probably wasn't true. Gambling has historically been fairly regulated, at least when it comes to online gambling. It's only recently that those sorts of laws have been, more extensively relaxed. The companies practice this as well, resulting in the investments becoming active and the criminals becoming rich. You are a nation that exploits women like consumer products or advertising tools, calling upon customers to purchase them. This is actually kind of true to a degree. If he's talking about prostitution, that also is largely illegal in the United States, but there are other ways that women are used in society. You use women to serve passengers, visitors, and strangers to increase your profit margins. I mean, hey, women have to have some jobs. No. Well, no. In all seriousness, this entirely makes sense. If women want to serve passengers and visitors, and men notice that, profit margins increased when women work in these positions, then they're entirely in the right to do that, right? And of course, I'm sure that this dude would probably be like, women aren't fit to do any sort of work at all. But I was joking, but I do agree. Women should be allowed to have all types of jobs, including these types of jobs. You then rant that you support the liberation of women. Well, I mean, we are a little bit hypocritical in that regard. But I mean, hey, at least we let women drive, which is not something that you would want to do. Let's see here. You are a nation that practices the trade of sex in all its forms, directly and indirectly. More indirectly, not really directly, necessarily. Giant corporations and establishments are established on this under the name of art, entertainment, tourism, and freedom. That's okay. If he's talking about like digital stuff, then I understand what he's talking about. Okay. I think he was talking about like rampant prostitution, which is like in the physical IRL world is just not something that is rampant in the United States. And because of this, you have been described in history as a nation that spreads diseases that were unknown to man in the past. Go ahead and boast to the nations of man that you brought them AIDS as a satanic American invention. Ooh. We're getting deep into the edgy conspiracy theories here. I'll say I have seen no evidence that the United States has invented AIDS. I'll just put that out there. But certain diseases that we have spread, some, maliciously, it is true, right? We, used, like picnic blankets to spread diseases during the era of, of the Pilgrims, I believe. But a lot of that is just because we did a lot of traveling. We had a lot of germs as we traveled. We took germs to places where people didn't really travel. They hadn't built up their immune systems. And it wasn't like we had invented like vaccines and like medical methods to protect people from certain diseases, like in the Pilgrim days necessarily. So, we brought diseases to places, and if people didn't have immunity to them, they died. Like, that is how it happened. I don't think it was always malicious. It was certainly malicious in some cases, but not always. And our medical advances have exponentially improved since then. So you generally don't see Americans running around spreading diseases unless it's in like Wuhan or something. You have destroyed nature with your industrial waste and gases more than any other nation in history. I think now, as of today, I think China and India are worse at this. I can't speak to the nature of the climate crisis in 2002, however, or 2001. Let's see here. Despite this, you refuse to sign the Kyoto Agreement so that you can secure the profit of your greedy companies and industries. Your law is the law of the rich and wealthy people who hold sway in their political parties, fund their election campaigns with their gifts. That's true. Remember, that's capitalism, right? Would you rather have a benevolent dictator, who just like arbitrarily is able to just like set all policy? No. Well, I wouldn't. Oh my goodness. With the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories again. Behind them stand the Jews who control your policies, media, and economy. Blah, blah. I've just seen so much anti-Semitic speech online that I just get tired of it whenever I see it. That which you are singled out for in the history of mankind is that you have used your force to destroy mankind more than any other nation in history, not to defend principles and values, but to hasten to secure your interests and profits. You who dropped the nuclear bomb on Japan, even though Japan was ready to negotiate an end to the war. How many acts of oppression, tyranny, and injustice have you carried out, O callers to freedom? I don't know that Japan was about to negotiate an end to the war. My intel could be off on that. But it is true that we've done a lot of war crimes like internationally, I think. It's pretty bad. But when we say that we are a nation of freedom, I think that most people are talking about our domestic policy and our foreign policy, which are two entirely different things. Let us not forget one of your major characteristics, your duality in both manners and values, your hypocrisy in manners and principles. All manners, principles, and values have two scales, one for you and one for the others. The freedom and democracy that you call for is for yourselves and for white race only. What? What is this based on? Dude, homie didn't even bother to take a field trip. This guy should have come to America and actually learned a little bit more about what a country is like before spouting out all this nonsense about our society. He clearly doesn't know what America is like. As for the rest of the world, you impose upon them your monstrous, destructive policies and governments, which you call the American friends, yet you prevent them from establishing democracies. Have we not established democracies throughout the world? I thought we did that, but we kill a lot of people to do that, and that's the problem. When the Islamic Party in Algeria wanted to practice democracy and they won the election, you unleashed your agents in the Algerian army onto them and to attack them with tanks and guns, imprison them and torture them. A new lesson in the American Book of Democracy, 3 exclamation points. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, I would be mad about this too if I believed this as well. I don't know if this is true necessarily, though. But it says when the Islamic Party in Algeria, based on, his perspective of Islamic politics, I am somewhat dubious of the claims that an Islamic Party in Algeria would propagate democracy. We already saw what happened in Gaza, right? Where Hamas won the election and then mysteriously there were no other elections held ever again. Let's see. Your policy on prohibiting and forcibly removing weapons of mass destruction to ensure world peace, it only applies to those countries which do not permit to possess such weapons. As for the countries you consent to, such as Israel, then they are allowed to keep and use such weapons to defend their security. Anyone else who you might suspect might be manufacturing or keeping these kinds of weapons, you call them criminals, you take military action against them. I mean, that's true to a degree, but I think part of the problem is that we are allies of Israel, and and Israel's entirely surrounded by enemies. So of course, if we have an ally and we give them weapons, are we going to give their enemies weapons too? That doesn't really make sense. And that I know I'm speaking specifically of the Middle East, but like, we give Ukraine weapons. Are we supposed to give Russia weapons? I think we give Taiwan weapons. Are we supposed to give China weapons? Like, this dude is over here saying, boo-hoo, no fair. You're only giving weapons to your allies, now your enemies. Like, what kind of idiotic take is this? Oh, man. You are the last ones to respect the resolutions and policies of international law, yet you claim to want to selectively punish anyone else who does the same. Israel has, for more than 50 years, been pushing UN resolutions and rules against the wall with the full support of America. This is something I plan to dig into when I do my research of the whole conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Let's see. As for the scroll wheel for this is all screwed up. It's annoying. As for the war criminals, which you censor, inform criminal courts for, you shamelessly ask that your own are granted immunity. That's actually true. However, history will not forget the war crimes that you committed against the Muslims and the rest of the world. Those you have killed in Japan, Afghanistan, Somalia, Lebanon, and Iraq will remain a shame that you will never be able to escape. It will suffice to remind you of your latest war crimes in Afghanistan, in which densely populated civilian villages were destroyed, bombs were dropped on mosquitoes, causing the roof of the mosque to come crashing down on the heads of Muslims praying inside. You were the ones who broke the agreement with Mujahideen when they left Kunduz? I don't know. Bombing them in Jengi Fort and killing more than 1,000 of your prisoners through suffocation and thirst. Allah alone knows how many people have died by torture at the hands of you and your agents. Your planes remain in the Afghan skies looking for anyone remotely suspicious. I don't know how accurate all of that is. Not something I've entirely studied. And also, generally, the news is not like, hey, look, America did war crimes. So, I'm not super aware of what's happened there. You have claimed to be the vanguards of human rights, and your Ministry of Foreign Affairs issues annual reports containing statistics of those countries that violate any human rights. However, all of these things vanished when the Mujahideen hit you, and you then implemented the methods of the same documented governments that you used to curse. In America, you captured thousands of Muslims and Arabs, took them to custody with neither reason, court trial, nor even disclosing their names. You issued newer, harsher laws. I'm not aware of this. However, I must say I do believe that post 9/11, America did do this for at least a year. I have heard of this. Also, there were multiple reports of FBI agents entrapping Muslims to try to get them arrested. So there was that too. What happens in Guantanamo is a historical embarrassment to America and its values, and it screams into your faces, you hypocrites. What is the value of your signature on any agreement or treaty? What we call you to is thirdly, is to take an honest stance with yourselves. I doubt you will do so to discover that you are a nation without principles or manners, and that the values and principles to you are something which you merely demand from others, not which you yourself must adhere to. We also advise you to stop supporting Israel and to end your support of the Indians in Kashmir, the Russians against the Chechens, and to cease supporting the Manila government against the Muslims in the southern Philippines. I actually think that America should probably stop supporting every other country internationally. That's just my opinion. I'm sure that there are going to be some edge cases where it makes sense for us to support countries, but only for a limited time. But yeah, like America, what the left would call American imperialism, I call interventionism, has been a gross disaster that has caused nothing but turmoil overseas and garnered no peace for us, but rather enemies with a thirst for vengeance. So yeah, no, it's no good what we've done internationally on this front. Again, I can't speak to these specific cases though, because I haven't really studied the Indians in Kashmir. But I do also think that once the IDF wins their war against Hamas, we should stop funding Israel entirely. We also advise you to pack your luggage and get out of our lands. We desire... I agree that we should do this. We desire for your goodness, guidance, and righteousness, so do not force us to send you back as cargo in coffins. Sixthly, we call upon you to end your support of the corrupt leaders in our countries. Do not interfere in our politics and method of education. Yes, we should not be interfering with other people's politics or their methods of education. Leave us alone. This guy has a sense of humor. Leave us alone or expect us in New York and Washington. I mean, it's wrong for him to go to New York and Washington with the menacing tone that he has, but we also should not be interfering with other countries' politics. I agree on that front as well. We also call you to deal with us and interact with us on the basis of mutual interests and benefits, rather than the policies of subdual, theft, and occupation. Do not continue your policy of supporting the Jews because this will result in more disasters for you. If you fail to respond to all these conditions and prepare for fight with the Islamic nation, the nation of monotheism that puts complete trust in Allah and fears none other than Him, the nation which is addressed by its Quran and with the words, "Do you fear them?" Allah has more right that you should fear Him if you are believers. Fight against them so that Allah will be punished by them Fight against them so that Allah will punish them by your hands and disgrace them and give you victory over them and heal the breasts of believing people and remove the anger of their believers' hearts. Allah accepts the repentance of whom He wills. Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. That's Quran 9:13. Oh, so he's in Bible study mode again here. 9:13 through 1. The nation of honor and respect, but honor, power, and glory belong to Allah and to His messenger, Muhammad, peace be upon him, and to the believers, Quran 63:8. So do not become weak against your enemy, nor be sad, and you will be superior in victory if you are indeed true believers, Quran 3:139. The nation of martyrdom, the nation that desires death more than you deserve life. This, I've heard, is a quote and a sentiment espoused by many radical Islamic organizations, including Hamas, by the way. Excuse me. Think not of those who are killed in the way of Allah as dead. Nay, they are alive with their Lord, and they are being provided for. They rejoice in what Allah has bestowed upon them from His bounty, and rejoice for the sake of those who have not yet joined them, but are left behind, not yet martyred. That on them no fear shall come, nor shall they grieve. They rejoice in a grace and bounty from Allah, and that Allah will not waste the reward of the believers. Quran 169 through 171. The nation of victory and success that Allah has promised. It is He who has sent His messenger, Muhammad, peace be upon him, with guidance and the religion of truth, Islam, to make it victorious over all other nations, even though the polytheists hate it. Quran 61:9. Allah has decreed that verily it is I and my messengers who shall be victorious. Our powerful Almighty. Quran 58:21. The Islamic nations, the Islamic nation that was able to dismiss and destroy the previous evil empires like yourself, the nation that rejects your attacks, wishes to remove your evils, and is prepared to fight you. You are well aware that the Islamic nation, from the very core of its soul, despises your haughtiness and arrogance. If the Americans refuse to listen to our advice and the goodness, kindness, and righteousness that we call them to, be aware that you will lose this crusade Bush began, just like the other previous crusades in which you were humiliated by the hands of the Mujahideen, fleeing to your home in great silence and disgrace. If the Americans do not respond, then their fate will be that of the Soviets who fled from Afghanistan to deal with the military defeat, political breakup, ideological downfall, and economic bankruptcy. This is our message to the Americans as an answer to theirs. Do they know why we fight them, and over which form of ignorance, by the permission of Allah, we shall be victorious? I mean, first of all, this dude is delusional for thinking that the Islamists would ever be able to defeat the United States of America. The only thing I think I agree with here is that the United States has done bad things internationally, but only in a vague way. Like, I don't know if all of the claims that of what the United States has done is accurate, as far as just like murdering innocent individuals, like individual cases. I'm not sure that he's right about the ones that he cites, but he is, I mean, and also I'm greatly against interventionism as well. So it's not just the violence. I'm against, interfering in other nations' politics and that sort of thing too. My problem is that he wants to go to war with America over our foreign policy, which is not the way to go. I think that the first thing you got to do is shore up your defenses. You have to be able to defend yourself against people who you think are attacking you, so that you can have some safety. That's the way to go. There was just to call for war against the United States it should never have been done. That should never have been an option. Excuse me. So, Osama bin Laden bad. I must say, I think that would be my take from this. But it's also a shame that this letter is being censored, because it's pretty obvious like where he's wrong and where he's right, unless you've been brainwashed. Like I don't understand reading this and being like, this dude is based. Like we should totally get on board with his program. Like no. I don't understand that. So, this is a failure of the school system. If a bunch of TikTokers and Gen Z people or in the like Gen Alpha are looking at this and being like, this homie is based. But yeah, no one can expose how bad this is too if it's not available to read. So hold on, what in the world is this? What is this? Okay, hold on. This is going to be a short story. NASCAR being sued, accused of discrimination against white males. Now, it's bad when like NASCAR is discriminating against white men. NASCAR is being sued for and accused of discriminating against white males, according to multiple reports. It's probably not something most people have considered to be an issue. But at least one group apparently does think it is a problem. Because per reports, America First Legal, oh man, it's a right-wing thing. A group reportedly led by Stephen Miller, former Vice President Donald Trump, is behind this one. According to an 0-3 report, the group is targeting rough racing and NASCAR in hopes to get the Employment Opportunity Commission to investigate things. Hold on. Did they cite any specific cases of discrimination? Oh, this is interesting. Okay. This here comes from, what's the source? ON3. Okay. America First Legal is hoping EEOC will investigate NASCAR rev racing. They want an investigation for illegal discrimination against white male Americans. This is another in a long string of lawsuits and complaints that AFL has brought forth. They have, it says they have tried to oust Morgan Stanley, Major League Baseball, Starbucks, and others for having discriminatory, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, including, according to Bloomberg Law. That's their source. Maybe they have sources there. Okay, hold on. Okay, I think this is a bit more specific. The group claimed that NASCAR and Rev Racing's DEI, this is from Bloomberg, by the way. The group claimed that NASCAR and Rev Racing's DEI programs, including its Diversity Driver Development Program, Diversity Pit Crew Development Program, and the NASCAR Diversity Internship Program, violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination based on race and sex. These programs previously specified that they were intended for women and ethnic minorities, but were updated September 1st to say they sought applicants of diverse backgrounds and experiences. which is basically the same thing. Despite the language change, it is claimed that it is. Despite the language change, it is claimed that NASCAR and Rev Racing are continuing to carry out unlawful hiring practices under the cloak of a diverse backgrounds and experiences rebranding. A spokesman for NASCAR did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Let's see here. Rev Racing was founded in 2010 by Max Siegel. Siegel was put in charge of NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program after the 2008 season. Since then, the team has competed in various ARCA regional and national series. Then, this season, they added a truck series program. Interesting. I mean, the thing is, they're actually right. And I think surprisingly, they actually likely have some legal standing. Like there's a shot that they could actually win this because, let's see here, because if I remember correctly, let me pull this up here. Okay, yeah, so, I mean, the United States literally abolished affirmative action, right? Saying that it's unconstitutional and discriminatory. So, I think that that's very, very similar to what this America First legal group is kind of arguing that NASCAR is doing. And I think that this could be a massive, massive win, I think, in the fight against discrimination and in the fight against affirmative action, because we already have legal standing, right, for America First Legal to win. And this could be the beginning of the end of affirmative action throughout the entire private sector, because if NASCAR can't do it, Starbucks can't do it, and universities certainly can't do it, then who else can do it? No one. And so maybe you'll have to hire people based on the skills that they bring to the table versus the color of their skin or the shape of the private parts. So if that is something that ends up happening, then like that would be a massive, massive win for the United States, I think, because we have discriminated against way too many people in our history in order for us to be like, yeah, you know what? I think in the name of civil rights, this is a good thing to do. Like, no, we should be clawing back discrimination, not charging towards it. Like, we shouldn't be discriminating against white people and Asians. That's ridiculous. And I have a whole video about why I don't like affirmative action, so I'm not going to go and rant about why it's bad, but I mean, I am not one who is a big fan of Stephen Miller, but I do hope that he gets the W on this one. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I missed these chats from Jot. My bad. Chat said, can you play Fortnite? No, I'm not playing Fortnite tonight, man. Time to pack the stream full of content for the 9 Highlights channel. I said, how many days until Thanksgiving? 1? 1.5? Not many. I was going to watch a movie with my mom, but I'm watching this. Oh, man, you should go watch the movie with your mom. Look. Don't stop doing IRL things to watch my streams. I stream on YouTube for a reason. My streams stay up unless they get hit with copyright strikes or something. My streams are online. You can watch them on demand. You can watch them tomorrow morning. You can watch them. You can listen to them while you're doing homework. You don't need to be live in my chat. You don't need to be live in my stream. It's nice to see, that I have like however many concurrent viewers I have when you pop into my stream. It's always nice to see, that number rise by 1 or 2 or 3. But don't feel obligated to skip out on things that you need to do in the real world in order to watch my streams. Don't lose sleep watching my streams. Don't miss out on family time watching my streams. Don't shirk responsibilities like homework to watch my streams. Don't shirk on things like cleaning a room to watch my streams. My VODs will be here waiting for you once you've done the things that you need to do. Please. It is the worst thing in the world to see people in the chat being like, oh, I'm not going to sleep because you're live. Homie, what does that have to do with you? Go to sleep. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Oh, man. Now, I'm not really a big fan of how Donald Trump is running his campaign, but this has to be the singular worst move that he has made in the entire campaign. And I know this is an old headline, but it did not get enough attention when it came out. Trump told his fans that they, quote, don't have to vote and should watch other voters instead. Former President Donald Trump told his voters that they don't have to vote for him. He said that they should instead watch other voters, alluding to his false election fraud claims. You don't have to vote. Don't worry about voting, he told his New Hampshire fans. I know that's a terrible impression. Former President Donald Trump told... I'm not going to read all of this. Is there a clip? Hold on. Is there a clip of this somewhere? Okay, here we go. Here's the clip.
Well, you got to get out.
Now, devoid of context, it's only 10 seconds long. I wish there was more. Shoot. Okay, there we go. My mouse got disconnected for a second.
So we have to be careful. You got to get out there and you got to watch those voters. You don't have to vote. Don't worry about voting. The voting, we got plenty of votes. You got to watch election.
That's so dumb. We've got plenty of votes. Well, no, then we tell people not to vote. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Look. Donald Trump, let me give you a word of advice. You're not going to win the 22 election. You're not going to win the 2022 election by telling your voters not to vote. Especially when they felt so disenfranchised after what happened in 2020. As a matter of fact, they should vote harder. They should vote harder than they ever have before. You should be trying to get as many people to vote for you. Not telling them, glare menacingly at the people voting for my opponent when they're at the polls. Which I'm joking a bit here. But like, the idea that like you should just watch other voters instead of voting yourself is really, really ridiculous, because if you're telling your supporters that, who's going to be left to vote for you? Right? It's not like Donald Trump has the luxury of having like a bunch of like mail-in ballots like sent through FedEx in the middle of the night at like 1:30 in the morning. He needs his voters. He needs his voters more than the Democrats do because of that. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Oh, man. Now, this right here is probably going to be one of the craziest stories that you will ever hear. And this right here is why moral relativism is bad and why it is important to have a reliable and static moral compass and moral code. Just listen to this.
Consensually, and they agree to use the proper protection, not conceive a child. What reason can you give me that that's wrong? Besides just saying it's icky or weird. Yeah.
For context, he's talking about incest. For those of you who are like working or something, who aren't watching the stream,
you guys will just say it's icky. It's incest. Yeah, but what is bad about it? Assuming they can't have children, and assuming there was no power dynamic growing up. Even if they're blood related. It's the same blood. Why is that that's not a moral argument though. You know what I mean? It's literally illegal. So it being illegal makes it morally bad. There have been many things in human history that have been illegal that I don't think we could argue are morally bad. Someone said it's fucking.
This is awful. This is embarrassing. This guy is running around here saying, "Oh, well, how do we know that incest is bad, right? Like, what if they can't have children? What if their genes are all fine and dandy?" And here's the problem. And hold on. Let me. And to be fair, I'm going to give more context to his comments right here because I think that it's important to understand what exactly he was saying in context. So I am going to show you a couple more clips before I explain, why even those comments are actually somewhat legitimate to a degree, the danger of the line of thinking that he and most people are in.
For what it's worth, and I know some people might call cap on this, I think incest is bad. Call me crazy. I actually do think it's bad.
So this is one thing that's been missing from a lot of the coverage of his, of his remarks here. So,
and I can go into the argumentation for why it's bad, and the argumentation that I didn't hear from Chet, because the actual problem with this, even if you remove, say, likelihood of having a kid, or you remove any power dynamics, the idea is that, well, if you normalize some behavior like that, that it doesn't account for all the other people that won't engage in, whatever the 0.1% of the safe version of said bizarre hypothetical situation is, and then it normalizes the behavior and then actually becomes much worse. Yada, yada, yada. There's good arguments against it.
Wait.
The actual problem with this, even if you remove, say,
okay, so we're saying that that's not the reason.
Kid, or you remove any power dynamics, the idea is that, well, if you normalize some behavior like that, that it doesn't account for all the other people that won't engage in, whatever the 0.1% of the safe version of said bizarre hypothetical situation is, and then it normalizes the behavior and then actually becomes much worse. Yada, yada, yada. There's good arguments against it. But man, maybe we should think a little bit more critically about stuff if we're just like out here saying you should kill someone. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't support violence or call it the violence, but I do think it's kind of funny that the responses are like, Thanos was right. Modern problems require modern solutions. Kill him. No, that's not a modern solution for this problem. The modern solution for this problem is critical thinking. But not just that. Oh, and also, hold on. But not just that. It's having an actual static moral compass. Here's one more clip before I go into my arguments for why this is bad.
Okay, so since there are a lot of people in here and you guys want to know the actual take, the premise of something like this is to get people to constructively think about the morality of certain things. So when you remove certain parameters, be like, can you actually argue why morally this is bad or not? And this also comes in the context of a class that I've taken, as well as what I studied at the University of Chicago, which is social neuroscience. And there's certain things that people fundamentally don't like that we can't really explain, that comes from millions of years of evolution of our biology basically telling us not to do certain things, not to sleep with our siblings because of genetic defects, etc., not to kill each other because we're a social species, etc. It's a whole thought experiment that you go down. It's not that deep.
Now, you might be wondering why I'm reacting to this drama that happened in June 30th of 2023, when we are months and months away from when this happened. Well, it's because I thought that this is something that's very important to react to. The majority of people who were reacting to this drama were saying, "Oh, how awful it is that Blau is defending incest because incest is icky and gross." The problem is a lot of the people who were reacting to this were kind of, playing into playing into Blau's point, which is a lot of people have these positions. They don't necessarily think into why it is that they have them. Now, he does point out that we do instinctively think that certain things are bad, just naturally. And so I think there is a natural response for people to be like, "Ew, that's icky." And, the Bible does say that the law of God is written on our hearts. But this is where it is helpful to not be a moral relativist, to not just go with the winds and be like, I'll just say whatever is okay. Whatever feels good is okay, right? If it feels good, it must be okay. If it makes me happy, it must be okay. If it makes other people happy, it must be okay. No, not necessarily. You have to pick a moral code that is static, because your feelings will change. One day, you might not feel like killing someone. And the next day, you might feel like killing someone. That's no moral code. That's just you doing whatever you want to do. Which I guess some could say is actually a moral code. But it's far better to have rules, do's and don'ts. Like, this is what I believe is good, and this is what I believe is bad. And this is something that will never change. This is one of the luxuries that I get with being a Christian, because in the scriptures, good and evil, right and wrong, those are things that are all static. Those are all things that don't change. So if you want to know if something is good, want to know if something is bad, look into the scriptures. If the scriptures doesn't mention it specifically, look into principles that are connected to that thing, right? If we, for example, when it comes to this topic, is this good or bad? Is this something that's okay, or is this something that's not okay? Well, Deuteronomy 27:22 tells us, "Cursed is the one who lies with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother." And all the people shall say, "Amen." Even nowadays, all the people say amen. But a lot of people don't understand why. Well, the reason is that the law of God is written on our hearts. And I think that there are a lot of things that people instinctively believe are right or believe that they're wrong. And that's just because that's the way God made us. It's the way that God wired us. Now, there might be some things that, America as a society, we try to tampen down because, and the scriptures do say, right, that like people are prone to, suppress the truth in their hearts, but the truth is still in our hearts, right? So whenever like people ask you, is it okay to do this or not, right? Think about why you believe what you believe. If you think something's wrong, why do you think something's wrong? You think stealing is bad? Why? Explain it. What's your source? What's your basis? What is your source for your moral ethics and your moral code? If you just think if your position is just, I think it's bad because it makes me feel bad, then you should re-examine your moral code and your ethics system, because that's no ethics system at all. Yeah, I know that was a weird story to cover, but I feel like it's important, right? Like the way that a lot of people, go through like morals and ethics is a little bit faulty. So I know this has been one of my longer streams, and I actually feel myself losing my voice a little bit, but there's one more story that I want to cover. So hang in there. There's one more story I want to cover before I go ahead and end the stream. So this has been making massive, massive waves across the United States, and as a matter of fact, across the entire world. Argentina has finally elected a president who is libertarian, apparently. Apparently he's self-described as an anarcho-capitalist, according to CBS Mornings. Let's see what they have to say about this man whose name is Javier Milei.
Coming from the far right, Javier Milei.
Oh, yeah, this is another thing, too. People have called him far right. And I'm not sure why, because he's libertarian. So I don't know what policies he'd hold that are far right. Maybe he's talking about, like, social values that he holds personally. But if you're a libertarian, you're not going to enforce those. So
Milei won a convincing victory in yesterday's presidential election with a promise to sharply cut government spending and tackle the country's worst economic crisis in decades. Says he'll bring a chainsaw to the economy. In fact, he brought a chainsaw to many of his campaign rallies as a prop. Also,
let's go.
He cloned his dog. That's what he's known for. Ed O'Keefe has this very strange
He
story.
cloned his dog?
Also, he cloned his dog. That's what he's known for.
Bro, what? You can do that? I didn't know that was a thing. I know they tried to clone lambs, but they died. Dude, this man is a genius if he figured out how to clone his dog.
Ed O'Keefe has this very strange story.
A massive political shakeup in Argentina. Javier Milei, far-right economist and television personality, joined the political fray just 3 years ago.
This is bad.
Now he's in charge of...
This is so cool. And look at how happy these people are to, like, get some more freedom. Why don't we have this in America? Where is this in America? You know, like Vivek Ramaswamy wants to take a chainsaw to the government, but he's still not a libertarian necessarily. We need more people like this in like mainstream American politics.
To the third largest economy in Latin America, as it teeters on the edge of disaster.
Porque hoy comienza la reconstrucción de Argentina.
Milei rode to power on a wave of popular discontent over a stagnating economy with a 40% poverty rate and inflation nearing 150%.
You know what's awesome? Not that. But what's awesome is that, you know, they notice all these issues in the country. And their solution is not to turn to daddy government to solve all their problems, but rather to raise the government that caused these issues to the ground and start afresh. That's amazing. We never do that in the United States. We're like, oh, we have poverty. We're too poor. Government, give us money. Like, it's awesome to see just a massive flipping of the script in this regard.
This woman says she supports Milei because she's looking for change in Argentina, a country she says has been suffering from years of decadence. He became known for his unorthodox showmanship during the campaign, wielding a chainsaw to symbolize his war on government spending, threatening vital public services.
Oh, I saw that video. And I looked at it on Instagram, and basically what he was doing was showing all these federal government departments that he wants to cut, and I was like, no, not Department of Public Works, but all of the other ones I was like, based actually.
Printing a picture of a U.S. dollar bill with his face on it, part of a widely criticized campaign to use the U.S. dollar as Argentina's currency.
Why would he do that? I don't understand why, as a nation, you wouldn't want your own country to be in control of the currency. Especially since I don't like how we're printing dollars. The American dollar is being devalued like by the hour. Trying to start afresh to revitalize your economy on the basis of the American dollar, I think is extremely foolhardy.
The self-described anarcho-capitalist has also advocated for eliminating the country's central bank.
Good.
Milei's controversial tirades against the political class have drawn comparisons to neighbor Brazil's former president Jair Bolsonaro, as well as former President Donald Trump, who sent congratulations to Milei on Truth Social, saying he will make Argentina great again.
MAGA.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Ed Oki.
Why can't we have a Make Argentina Great Again movement in America, where it's like we're electing libertarians? Like, bruh. But let's take a closer look at what his policies actually are, to actually get a better understanding of what this dude is like. Milei is known for his flamboyant personality. It is from Wikipedia, by the way, for people who are just listening. Milei is known for his flamboyant personality, distinctive personal style, and strong media presence. He has been described politically as populist, far-right, or right-wing populist, ultra-conservative, and right-wing libertarian. Economically, they have described his positions as ultra-liberal. He self-identifies as a liberal libertarian, aligning specifically with mini-archist. Interesting. A night watchman state or miniarchy, whose proponents are known as miniarchists, is a model of a state that is limited and minimal, whose functions depend on libertarian theory. Wow, that sounds incredibly solid. I'll need to study that off stream. And anarcho-capitalist principles. His views distinguish him in the Argentine political landscape and have garnered significant public attention and polarizing reactions. He has proposed the abolition of the Central Bank of Argentina, that's awesome, which would result in a de facto dollarized economy. Would it? I don't know why that would result in a dollarized economy. And a comprehensive overhaul of the country's fiscal and structural policies. His support for freedom of choice on topics such as drugs, guns, prostitution, same-sex marriage, sexual orientation, and gender identity have been contrasted to his general opposition to abortion and euthanasia. He also denounces comprehensive sex education in schools as a form of brainwashing. True. Expressed skepticism towards COVID-19 vaccines. Supported civilian firearm ownership and proposes to legalize the sale of human organs. Promotes the far-right cultural Marxism conspiracy theory, which is generally... Hold on, let me see. What is this? The term cultural Marxism is a far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that misrepresents the Frankfurt School as being responsible for modern progressive movements, identity politics, and political correctness. Hold on, let me see. The conspiracy theory posits that there is an ongoing intentional academic and intellectual effort to subvert Western society via a planned culture war that undermines the Christian values of traditionalist conservatism that seeks to replace them with culturally liberal values. Well, that's just true. And denies the scientific consensus on climate change. Citation needed. I love that. So just going through all of these, so I am not as libertarian as this dude, for example. So like, for example, I guess I've evaluated whether I think that prostitution should be made illegal, but I don't think that we should rush to legalize it. I don't think that's a good idea. Same-sex marriage, I don't think that should be sanctioned by the U.S. government. But people can do what they want with each other. Marriage is mostly a social construct, anyways. Well. That wouldn't be entirely true. God has ordained marriage, but many people view it as a primarily social construct, right? Where it's like it's bound together through a social relationship that two people have with each other. So it would make sense that that's something that's left to the private sector, to be honest. Opposition to abortion and euthanasia, based on both of those things. Now, when I said that, comprehensive sex education is a form of brainwashing, it is a vehicle through which brainwashing is introduced. Oftentimes, it's often that many things such as gender theory are introduced to young children and told, and taught in a way that makes it seem like they're authoritative, accurate, or true. So in that sense, like, it can be used for brainwashing. The realm in and of itself isn't necessarily brainwashing, but it's too often used as a form of brainwashing. And also I think it usurps parents' rights if they don't want their kids to learn about either sex stuff at young ages or to learn about gender ideology at all. So I agree with him abolishing that in schools. Because look, if parents want kids to learn about that, they can teach them about that at home. They don't have to go to school to learn that. Like, really, I believe that parents should be raising their kids. I know a lot of people disagree with that, and that's a hot take nowadays, but that's just my position. Now, more on his political positions. Javier Milei advocates for minimal government, focusing on justice and security with a philosophy rooted in life, liberty, property, and free market principles. Milei criticizes socialism and communism, advocating for economic liberalization and restructuring of government ministries. He opposes Argentina's central bank and current taxation policies. Economically, Milei is influenced by the Austrian school. I've never been to that school before. And admires former President Carlos Menem's policies. I don't know him. He supports capitalism, good, viewing socialism as embodying envy and coercion. Milei proposes reducing government ministries and addressing economic challenges through spending cuts and fiscal reforms. Nice. I mean, they did say that he was an economist, so that doesn't make sense. Criticizing previous administrations for excessive spending. Socially conservative, Milei opposes abortion euthanasia, is indifferent to same-sex marriage, and supports privatization of education and healthcare. He opposes mandatory vaccination and supports drug legalization and prostitution. Definitely don't like supporting prostitution, especially as like a social value. I do understand if your social values and your political policies are different, though. Malay advocates for deregulation. Malay advocates for deregulation of. Malay advocates for deregulation of firearm ownership and proposes immigration restrictions for criminals. Okay, nice. In foreign policy, he criticized. This is the IMF opposes trade unions. By the way, IMF is not the Impossible Mission Force. It's the International Monetary Fund. Opposes trade unions, aligns with anti-socialist figures like Trump and Bolsonaro, and prioritizes alliances with the United States and Israel. He is cautious about relations with China, supports Ukraine against Russia, and advocates for dialogue regarding the Falklands War. And there's a whole lot of stuff over here if you want to read it, but that was just like an overview. So he seems like a pretty based guy. Like he sounds like a guy with a good head on his shoulders. Solid positions on a lot of things, not everything, but on a lot of things, and specifically on political policy. Like if he's going to take a hacksaw to the entire government, that is epic. And I hope that nothing happens to him because he seems like he's going to be a great leader. Also, I'm very excited and looking forward to seeing what happens to this nation. Now, Javier Milei, after winning the election, gave a little speech. And I think this will probably give me a good introduction to his rhetoric and how he wants to lead these people moving forward. I have the closed captions auto-translating into English, so I will be reading this aloud as he gives the speech, just so that people who are listening can understand what he is saying. Let's roll the tape. So president, that's what they're chanting. President, yes or no? That's what I'm saying here. So freedom, or not. It seems that. It seems that.
Buenas noches.
Yes. Good evening.
A todos.
To everyone who is here, present, to those who are in the street, also celebrating, and above all, good night to all the good Argentinians, because today the reconstruction begins. I'm assuming the reconstruction of Argentina is what they're saying here. Argentina. Today
es una noche histórica para la Argentina. Muchas gracias a todos los que vinieron.
To all who came, thank you very much to all who made this possible.
Gracias al equipo que viene
Thanks to the
trabajando hace
team
2
that has been
años
working for
para
2
transformar
years
la
to
Argentina
transform Argentina,
y para
to
lograr el
achieve
milagro
the
de tener un
miracle
presidente
of having a
liberal
liberal
libertario.
libertarian
Muchas
president.
gracias.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that's what he said there.
Gracias a mi hermana Karina, porque sin ella
Because
nada de
without
esto
her, none
hubiera
of this
sido
would
posible.
have been, I guess, possible. Because he's talking about his wife.
Además,
In addition,
también quiero
I
agradecerle
also
a
want
ese
to thank
gigante
that
que me ha
giant who
acompañado a lo
has
largo
accompanied
de
me
todo este
throughout
proceso,
this entire
ese
process.
gigante que
That
suele
giant
mantenerse en la
that usually
oscuridad,
remains
que se llama
dark
Santiago Caputo y es el
and
verdadero
is the
arquitecto
true
de esto junto al
architect
jefe.
of this together with thee, and this is applause.
Además, también quiero
In
darle las
addition,
gracias a
I
todos los
also want
integrantes
to
de la
thank all
Libertad
the members
Avanzan
of La
que trabajaron
Libertad
sin parar para lograr este
Avanzan
objetivo.
who worked nonstop to achieve
Además,
this goal.
Quiero dar
ambition.
muy especialmente las
Especially
gracias a
want
los
to thank the
fiscales,
prosecutors,
tanto a
both
los de la
to
Libertad
those of
Avanza
Libertad,
como los del PRO, que pusieron el
the
cuerpo
loose,
para
the body,
defender los
to
votos.
defend the, and then there's applause. I'm kind of getting a fragment here, so I'm not able to catch everything he's saying.
Porque dijimos que los
Votes,
votos
because we
estaban,
said the
pero había
votes
que
were there,
cuidarlo. Y
but we
vaya que
had
los
to take
cuidaron.
care of it,
Muchísimas
and
gracias,
boy, did they
fiscales.
take care of them. Thank you very much.
Por otra parte,
Prosecutors. On the other hand,
quiero agradecerle muy
I want
especialmente
to
al presidente Macri y a la
something
señora Bullrich que
to the lady
desinteresadamente
who
en
selflessly,
un acto de
in
grandeza
an
como
act
no
of
se ha
greatness
visto
like
nunca en la historia
Argentina's history
argentina,
has never seen
pusieron
before,
el cuerpo para
they
defender el
put
cambio que la
their
Argentina
all into
necesita.
defending the change that Argentina, I'm assuming he's saying needs there.
Quiero decirle a
I
todos
want
los argentinos
to tell all the
que hoy
Argentinians
comienza
that
el
today,
fin de la
the end of
decadencia argentina.
the end of decadence begins. Today
Empezamos
we
a dar
begin
vuelta a la
to
página de
turn the
nuestra
page of
historia
our history,
y volvemos a
and we
retomar el
return to
camino
the
que
path
nunca
that we
deberíamos
should
haber
never
perdido.
have, that we should
Hoy se
never
termina el
have
modelo
lost.
empobrecedor del
Today, the
Estado
impoverishing model
omnipresente
of the
que
omnipresent
solo
state
beneficia a
ends,
algunos
which only
mientras la mayoría
benefits
de los
some.
argentinos
The majority
sufren.
of Argentinians
Hoy se
suffer.
termina
That's awesome. That's awesome because he perfectly described how authoritarian governments, authoritarian regimes, authoritarian nation states operate. It's exactly the effect that they have. Maybe that's why Argentina is in the place that it's in at the moment, but no longer.
la idea de que el Estado
Today,
es un
the idea
botín
that the
a
state
repartirse
is
entre
a
los
loot to be
políticos y sus
distributed among the
amigos.
politicians and your
Hoy
friends.
se termina
Today
esa visión de que los
ends
victimarios
that
son las
vision
víctimas
that the
y las
perpetrators are
víctimas
the
los
victims,
victimarios.
and the victims are the
Hoy
perpetrators
retomamos
today.
el camino
We
que hizo
return
grande
to the
este
path
país.
that made
Hoy
this country
volvemos
great.
a abrazar las
Together,
ideas de la
we once
libertad,
again embrace
las
the
ideas de
ideas of
Alberti.
freedom, the ideas of I'm missing the next word here.
En definitiva,
Alberti, I don't
las
know what that
ideas
is.
de nuestros padres
Ultimately, the
fundadores
ideas of our parents
hicieron que
founders
35
who
años
made
de ser un
35
país de
years of
bárbaros
being a country
pasáramos
of
a ser la
barbarians
primer potencia
become
mundial.
the first world
Esas
power.
ideas se basan
Those
en tres
ideas are
premisas
based
muy
on
simples.
three very
Un
simple
gobierno
premises.
limitado,
A limited government.
quiero que quede claro
And I
esto,
want this to
que
be clear,
cumple a
that it
rajatabla con
complies
sus
to the letter
compromisos que
with
ha
its
tomado.
commitments, that it has, I'm missing the next word, taking
Respeto a la
respect
propiedad
for
privada
property,
y comercio
private
libre.
and free
Quiero
trade.
ser muy claro con
I want
algo.
to be very clear
El
about
modelo de la
something. The
decadencia
model of
ha
decadence
llegado a
has
su
come
fin.
to an
No hay
end.
vuelta
There is
atrás.
no turning back.
Los
The
resultados
results
de este
of
modelo
this
están
model
a la vista de
are
todos.
visible to
De ser el
everyone.
país más rico del
Being the
mundo,
richest country
hoy
in the
somos
world.
130.
Today we are
La mitad de los
130.
argentinos
Half
son
of the
pobres
Argentinians
y
are
el
poor,
10%
and
es
10%
indigente.
are
Basta del
indigent.
modelo
Enough
empobrecedor
of
de
the
la
impoverishing
casta.
model
Hoy
of
volvemos a
caste.
abrazar
Today
el
we
modelo
once
de
again
la libertad
embrace the
para
model
volver a ser
of
una
freedom to
potencia
return
mundial.
to a world power. I don't know if Argentina's going to become a world power, but that'd be cool if this is how they're leading the country. This is awesome. The streets are filled with Javier Milei's supporters.
Al mismo tiempo, quiero
At the
decirle a
same
todos los
time,
argentinos
all
y a todos los
Argentinians,
dirigentes
and
políticos
all the political
que
leaders,
todos
who
aquellos que
all
quieran
those
sumarse a la
who
nueva
want
Argentina
to join the
serán
new Argentina
bienvenidos.
will be
No
welcome.
importa de
No
dónde
matter
vengan,
where they come from.
no importa qué
It
hayan
does not
hecho
matter
antes,
what they have done
no
before.
importa
It does
qué
not matter
diferencias
what
tengamos.
difference we have.
Estoy seguro
I
que
am
es más
sure that what
importante lo que
unites
nos
us
une
is more
que lo
important
que
than
nos
what
separa.
separates us.
Porque eso es lo que va a
Because
hacer
that
que
is what will
pongamos de
make
pie a
us,
la patria y
that,
volvamos a
let's
ser
put
una
the country
potencia.
back on its feet and become I'm missing the next, power again. Yes.
En definitiva,
In short,
siempre que quieran
whenever you
sumarse al
want
cambio
to
que la
join the
Argentina
change that
necesita,
Argentina
serán
needs,
bienvenidos.
you will be welcome.
Sabemos que hay gente
We
que se va a
know that there are
resistir.
people who are going to
Sabemos
resist.
que hay gente
We
que
know
quiere
that there are
mantener
people
este
who want to
sistema de
maintain this
privilegios para
system of
algunos
privileges
y
for
que
some,
empobrece a la
and that it
mayoría de los
impoverishes the
argentinos.
majority of
A
Argentinians.
todos ellos
To
quiero
all.
decirles
To
lo
all of them,
siguiente.
I want to tell you
Dentro
the
de la ley,
following.
todo,
Within the law,
fuera de la
everything
ley, nada.
outside the law, nothing. Interesting. I don't know what that
En esta nueva
means.
Argentina
In this new
no hay
Argentina,
lugar para los
there is no
violentos.
place for the violent.
No hay lugar
There is no
para los que
place
violan la
for
ley
those who
para
violate
defender
the
sus
law to
privilegios.
defend their privileges.
Vamos a ser
We are
implacables
going
con
to
aquellos
be
que quieran utilizar
implacable
la fuerza para
with
defender
those
sus
who want to
privilegios.
use force to
Al
defend their
gobierno
privileges.
queremos pedirle que
The
sea
government, we
responsable,
want to ask
que
you to be
entiendan que ha llegado
responsible,
una
that
nueva
they
Argentina y
understand
que
that a
actúen
new
en
Argentina has
consecuencia,
arrived and that
que
they
se
act
hagan
accordingly.
cargo
They,
de su
that they take
responsabilidad
charge of their
hasta el final
responsibility
del
until the
mandato
end
del
of the
10
mandate
del 12.
of the 10th of the, I'm missing the next word, of the 12th.
Así,
So,
una vez finalizado el mandato,
once the
podamos
mandate is
comenzar a
over, we
transformar esta
can begin
realidad
to
tan
transform this
trágica
tragic
para
reality
millones de
for
argentinos.
millions of
Que
Argentinians.
se entienda bien, la situación de
The
Argentina
situation
es
in Argentina
crítica.
is critical.
Los cambios que nuestros
The
países
changes that
necesitan
our
son
country needs
drásticos.
are drastic.
No hay lugar para
There's no room for
gradualismo.
gradualism.
No hay lugar para la
There's no room
tibieza.
for
No hay
lukewarmness.
lugar para
There's
medias
no room
tintas.
for half measures. Applause here.
Si no
If we
avanzamos
do not
rápido con
move
los cambios
quickly with the
estructurales que la
structural
Argentina
changes that
necesita,
Argentina needs,
nos dirigimos
we
derecho
are
a la
heading
peor
straight
crisis
towards
de
the
toda
worst
nuestra
crisis in
historia.
our entire history.
Es fundamental que
It's
todos
essential
aquellos que queremos
all
volver a
of us
abrazar
want to
las ideas de la
re-embrace the
libertad,
ideas of
trabajemos
freedom,
juntos
work
a
together,
partir del 10 de
starting
diciembre
December
y
10th,
podamos darle
and we
respuesta
can
a
respond
una
to a
sociedad que ha sido
society that
abandonada
has
por
been
la clase
abandoned
política
by the
las
political
últimas
class
décadas.
in recent decades.
Tenemos problemas
We
mentales
have
por
mental
delante.
problems
La
ahead.
inflación, el
ahead of us.
estancamiento,
Inflation,
la falta de empleo
stagnation,
genuino, la
lack of
inseguridad,
genuine
la
employment,
pobreza y la
insecurity,
indigencia.
poverty, and
Problemas
destitution.
que solo tienen
Problems that
solución
only have a
si
solution
volvemos a
if we
abrazar
once
las
again
ideas de la libertad.
embrace the ideas of freedom.
Problemas que solo tienen
Problems that
solución
only
si
have a
aquellos que
solution
queremos una
if
Argentina
those of us who
distinta
want a different
trabajamos
Argentina
juntos.
work
A
together.
todos aquellos que
To
nos
all
están
those who
mirando
are
desde
watching
fuera
us
de la
from
Argentina,
outside Argentina,
quiero decirles
I
que la
want to tell
Argentina
you
va a
that
volver a
Argentina
ocupar
is
el
going
lugar
to
en el
return
mundo que
to
nunca debió haber
occupy the
perdido.
place that it should.
Nuestro
It should never have
compromiso-
lost. Our, and then I'm missing the word. Our
Por
commitment.
eso quiero también
That is
decirles
why I
que
also want
nuestro
to tell you
compromiso
that
es
our
con la
commitment is
democracia,
to
con el
democracy,
comercio libre
free
y
trade,
con la paz.
in peace.
Vamos a
We
trabajar
are
codo
going
a
to
codo
work
con todas las
side by
naciones
side,
del mundo
all the
libre
nations of
para
the free
ayudar a
world
construir
to
un
help
mundo
build
mejor.
a better
Hoy
world
es una noche
today.
histórica,
It's a historic
no
night,
por nosotros,
not because of
sino
us,
porque se ha
but
terminado
because
una
one
forma
way
de hacer
of
política
doing politics
y
is
comienza
ending,
otra.
and another has begun.
A los argentinos
To the
quiero
Argentinians,
decirles
I want to tell
que a
you
pesar de
that
los problemas
despite the
enormes
enormous problems
que tiene el país,
that the country
a pesar
has,
de lo sombrío que luce
despite
la
how
situación,
gloomy the situation
quiero
looks,
decirles que Argentina
I want to
tiene
tell you that
futuro.
Argentina has a
Pero ese
future.
futuro existe.
But that future
ese
exists
futuro es
if
liberal.
that future is. I'm missing the next word here.
No
Is
venimos a
liberal.
inventar nada.
We do not come
Venimos a
to
hacer las
invent
cosas
anything. We
que la
come to
historia
do
ha
the things
demostrado
that
que
history
funcionan.
has shown work.
Venimos a hacer lo mismo que
We come
hicimos
to do
durante
the
el siglo
same thing that we did
XIX
during
en
the
nuestro
19th
país.
century in our country.
Lo mismo que
The
hicieron
same
países
thing
como
that
Irlanda
countries
hace no
like
tanto
Ireland did
tiempo.
not so long ago.
Venimos a abrazar
We
las
come
ideas
to
de la
embrace the
libertad,
ideas
que
of
son
freedom,
aquellas que
which
garantizan
are
la
those that
prosperidad de los
guarantee the
argentinos.
prosperity of Argentina.
Si abrazamos esas ideas,
If we embrace
no
those
solo vamos
ideas,
a poder
not
solucionar los
only
problemas de
will we
hoy,
be able to
sino que
solve
dentro de
today's
35
problems,
años
but in
volveremos
35
a ser
years,
una potencia
we will
mundial.
once again be a world power. Let's go. Hell. Without
Sin lugar a dudas,
a doubt
hoy
today,
vamos a festejar.
we are going to. What's the next word? Celebrate. This is awesome. This is awesome. It's a shame too that I think that we will never get a president that's this popular in the near future. Whoever wins the GOP nomination is not going to be popular enough to get this level of support. That people will be filling entire streets like this, cheering in what looks like, based on these optics, massively overwhelming support. We're sure not going to get that with Joe Biden. You know, if people try to do that, they would be brawling in the streets. So But they're saying president, I think. This is awesome. Yes, today we are going to.
Pero
We're going to
también es
celebrate.
cierto que mañana
But it is
desde
also
primera
true
hora
that
de la
tomorrow, from the
mañana,
first thing in the morning,
nos pondremos a
we
trabajar
will get to
para que el
work.
10 de diciembre
So on
empecemos a
December
traer
10th,
las soluciones
we begin
que
to
los
bring
argentinos
the
necesitan.
solutions that Argentinians
Por lo
need.
tanto,
Therefore,
quiero dar las
I
gracias a
want to
todos
thank
por el
everyone
enorme
for the
trabajo
enormous
para
work,
acompañar,
to accompany
por
them,
creer
for
que
believing
se puede.
that it is
¿Cuántas
possible.
veces habremos
How
dicho
many
y nos
times
hemos
have we
cansado de
said,
repetir
and we
que
tired
la
of
victoria en
repeating,
la batalla no
the
venía
victory in battle
de la
did not
cantidad
come
de soldados,
from the number of
sino de
soldiers,
las fuerzas
but from
que
the
vienen del
forces
cielo.
that it comes from. The forces, it comes from heaven.
Por lo tanto, quiero
So,
darle las gracias
I
a
want
todos.
to thank everyone,
Y no
and I
podía
couldn't
terminar
end
de
it
otra manera.
any other way.
¡Viva la libertad,
Long
carajo!
live damn freedom.
¡Viva la
Long
libertad,
live damn
carajo!
freedom. Long live
¡Viva la
damn
libertad,
freedom.
carajo!
Long live
Dios
damn
bendiga
freedom.
a los argentinos. Muchas
God
gracias.
bless the Argentinians. Thank you very much, and that's the end of his speech there. Which, I mean, a lot of fluff, a lot of nice rhetoric. Like I'm a big fan of the rhetoric. That is very cool. It's cool to see so many people supporting someone who wants limited government, small government, who wants to reduce spending, and get things back on track financially and fiscally. Like, this president, by the way, is what was a literal economist, which I think is why we're seeing him promote some of the policies that he promoted. Like, this is awesome. And, you know, Trump had a similar flair, but he's not a small government guy. I see only one small government guy running for president right now, and that's Vivek Ramaswamy. There's no left-leaning small government guy running for president that I see. You know, the main challenger who's actually running for president on the left wing is like Cornel West. He's not a small government guy. We also have, who is it? Who's the other guy running for president? Gavin Newsom. He's not a small government guy. We need more people like Javier Milei and like Vivek Ramaswamy to come in and say, hey, like, the government has been causing more problems than it's solving. So we need to get back into the business of solving problems. In all of the areas in the government that are causing problems, we need to cut those with scissors, or, like Milei, we should use a chainsaw. Oh, man. That's an awesome story. That's an awesome story. I love it. But, hey, you know, I can't stream all night. This has been an extremely long stream, so I think it's probably time for me to wrap things up for the night. Very, very fun stream. So many fun things that were covered. If you missed any of the stream, you could either check out the uploads that I will do on the Non-Newbie Highlights channel, or just listen to the stream over again. There's a lot of content for you to go through if you're more interested in like the cultural internet drama things. There's stuff for you to talk about there, or there's stuff for you to see there. If you're more interested in like the news and political things, there's political coverage all throughout the stream as well. So there's a little bit of stuff for everybody here. So I hope you guys enjoy the stream. Yeah, by the way, don't forget to join the Discord. Link in the description below. And that's pretty much all I got. So peace out, y'all.
I got the boys and they wet. Pull up on 10 and they test. Roll with the king is a bless. Shorty said she wanna kiss me. I had to curve it, she mess. Got my do-rag in the sets. Don't play with me, I ain't not easy. Whoa, it's a problem, then you know Limbo gon' solve it. Low things in the cut and he gon' pull up to resolve it. I don't need no stick, I know I'm harder than you ballers. Look, I don't got a friend, it's only family, but you knew this. Yeah, you knew this. You do too much talking, if you catch me, then you do this. Boy, I'm living when I'm walking with the gang, we looking ruthless. Watch how hard they useless. Yeah, the struggle, we've been through this. Don't you play, we really do this. Yeah, knock him till he clueless. What you saying, boy, you stupid, but I'm a song with Mikey J. Don't got a friend, but that's okay. Get it clear, it's like 2K. YouTube pay, chopper spray, GTA. We shooting like it's Call of Duty. Dripping, nothing but Gucci. If he pulls out, better shoot me. I can never stop, okay. And I'm ready to fake 2K. And I keep it straight AK. They call me dance on play. Homie, let the cat too fake. My neck just like Lake. I'ma make it feel like Drake. Jump on my line like a rake. I think I got a good take, okay. None of my homie, we send it just winning. We got money, put it okay. We said it just send it, send me, they wanna Call of Duty. We got it, and he wants smoke today. bring it right back.